On the Israel-Hamas war, what really are Israel's options now? How far will Israel go, and what of the humanitarian crisis on the ground brewing in Gaza? Voices from Israel and Palestine will be joining us on the show tonight. But first, the 9 headlines at 9. Israel asks citizens in southern areas of Gaza to evacuate. Tell Gazans to leave the north as countdown begins to a likely ground invasion. US President Joe Biden set to visit Israel on Wednesday. Gaza humanitarian crisis worsens with dwindling medical supplies. Hospitals turned into morgues. Gaza-Egyptian border set to reopen to allow humanitarian aid to come through. Supreme Court gives a big pro-life verdict, rejects the plea to terminate 26-week pregnancy, says the right to life prevails over the mother's choice. A big day in the Supreme Court tomorrow. Verdict on legalized same-sex marriage expected. Which way will the Constitution bench decide? The men accused of killing, cooking and consuming 16 kids are acquitted. Allahabad High Court acquits key accused Surendra Kohli and Moninder Singh Pandey in the notorious Nithari murder case. Trinamool Congress MP Mahua Moitra in a controversy after a BJP MP alleges she was paid to ask queries against the Adani Group in Lok Sabha on behalf of a Dubai-based businessman. Mahua dares the BJP to prove the charge, says this is an attempt at character assassination. Indian Space Research Organization set for the unmanned test flight for the Gaganyaan human spaceflight mission. Key test planned for the 21st of October. TCS fires 16 employees as it completes a 6-month probe into one of the biggest cash for job scams in recent times. Puts new systems in place to ensure the breakdown does not happen again. Massive decision by the International Olympic body. Cricket returns as an Olympic sport after 128 years. A story that was first broken here on India Today. But let's start with a look at the top developments in that brewing war between Israel and Hamas. Israel continues to intensify its attack on Palestine areas in Gaza. The Palestinian Red Crescent Society has shared video footage of the moment they say an Israeli airstrike struck Ansar station in Gaza, rocking an ambulance full of medics and civilians taking cover. The accusation is several civilians have been killed in attacks from Israel. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken meanwhile met Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu today, underlining his country's firm support for Israel's right to defend itself from Hamas's terrorism, reaffirmed US determination to provide the Israeli government with whatever it needs to protect its citizens. But amidst rising conflict, crowds of Palestinian dual nationals are waiting anxiously at a closed Rafah crossing from Gaza into Egypt on Monday, sitting on their suitcases, crouching on the floor, comforting crying infants. Rafah, Gaza's only connection to Egypt, was shut down nearly a week ago because of Israeli airstrikes. Amidst the raging Israel-Hamas war, a group of opposition leaders, including BSP MP Danish Ali, former parliamentarians Manishankar Ayyar and KC Tyagi, visited the Palestinian embassy in New Delhi to express their solidarity with Palestinians and condemn the actions of Israel, calling for an end to the hostilities. Iran's foreign ministry says that Hamas is ready to release nearly 200 hostages it is holding if Israel stops its campaign of airstrikes on the Gaza Strip. The militant group, however, hasn't acknowledged making any such offer. Now, the Israel-Palestine war has entered day 10 and a ground assault on Gaza appears imminent as Israeli defense forces continue to mobilize tanks and artillery near the Gaza border. The Israel Defense Force says troops have arrested 360 wanted Palestinians across the West Bank, including 210 affiliated with Hamas. In the past, too, Israeli forces have invaded Gaza twice in 2009 and 2014. The Gazans are claiming that Israel is guilty now of war crimes. We start tonight with the latest ground report.
Devastated by Israeli bombardments, more than 1 million Gazans have fled their homes as an Israeli ground invasion looms. Airstrikes have been unchallenged. In the face of no credible anti-aircraft weapons or air defense systems at Hamas's disposal. Destruction in the besieged Gaza Strip unprecedented. (2,670) Palestinians have been killed and 9,600 wounded since the fighting erupted on October 7th. More than 1,400 Israelis have died, most of them civilians killed in the Hamas attack. Casualties may mount dramatically in the event of Israeli forces launching a ground incursion. Much of Hamas's military infrastructure believed to be concealed in urban areas. A street-by-street fighting can't be ruled out if Israeli military unleashes a full-fledged ground assault. Israel has ordered more than 1 million Palestinians, almost half the territory's population, to move to Gaza's south. Hamas has called upon Palestinian residents to stay put. In the past, Israeli forces invaded Gaza twice. The first time in 2009 for 15 days, and then in 2014 for 19 days. When Israeli ground forces advanced into Gaza's dense cities earlier, they've been effectively targeted with Hamas anti-tank mines, anti-tank guided missiles, rocket-propelled grenades. Hamas now equipped with a newer weapon, grenade-wielding drones it used in the October 7 attack, and possible stockpiles of anti-tank weaponry. International urban warfare experts also caution against Hamas's ancient tactic of using tunnel bombs. Blasting its way through the 40-kilometer Gaza Strip may sound easier than done. The Israeli military would be going up against a group that has trained for years in hardened urban combat and possibly war-gamed such an invasion for years, despite Israel's own human intelligence and technology. With Gaurav Sawant and Ashutosh Mishra in Israel, Bureau Report, India Today.
And joining me now is Tammy Ben-Haim. She's Consul General of Israel here to South India. Appreciate your joining us, Tammy. There's a lot of concern at the moment over the nature of this Israeli offensive and what it could mean for civilians caught in the crossfire. That's the big concern at the moment. How do you respond to those who are saying that Israel is resorting to collective retribution of virtually all Palestinians for what happened, the dastardly attack that took place on the 7th of October?
One, thank you for having me. Second, I just want to point all the fingers that we should be pointing and asking these very important questions to a terror organization called Hamas. The attack on October 7th was a terror attack against Jewish and Israeli villages and towns. It was a massacre, killing, burning alive whole families, killing parents in front of their children, killing children in front of the parents, kidnapping over 200 babies. I'm talking babies, small children and women, the elderly, and other unarmed people, kidnapping them into Gaza, brutalizing them. As we're speaking at the moment, the Hamas terror attack is still going on. And why is it going on? Because one, they're still shooting rockets into Israel, into Israeli towns, into Israeli cities. Right 5 minutes ago, while I was waiting to get on your show, rockets were fired towards Jerusalem. The red alert went off in Jerusalem and into Tel Aviv. Jerusalem is one of the holiest cities, not just for the Jews, but for Christians and Muslims as well, and they're shooting rockets into it. Of course, it's also our biggest city population-wise. So think of what they're doing. So the Hamas terror attack is still going on. And the war Israel declared is specifically targeted at the Hamas. It's not against the Palestinian Authority. It's not against any civilians. It's against the Hamas terror organization.
But the truth, ma'am, is that just like Israeli babies you claim have been held hostage, the fact is Palestinian children and Palestinian civilians are also suffering heavy damage. The images now coming out of Gaza suggest that there are people who have nothing to do with Hamas who are also dying in the conflict. So that's where I come to. Is this now collective retribution for all Palestinians?
It's not collective retribution, because Hamas is a terror organization that targets babies and hides behind babies. The fact that they put their rocket launchers, and people know this, people could have spoken to Hamas about it a week ago or a year ago or 2 years ago. The whole world knows that Hamas puts its rocket launchers in kindergartens, that it hides its weapons storage in mosques, that they hide their commanders and command centers in hospitals. We all know this. This was known to the world a week ago, a month ago, a year ago, and nobody spoke up. Nobody went to the terror organization and told them, listen, you're holding almost 2 million people hostages. You're hiding behind civilians. Please get out of Gaza. Please try to help the population of Gaza. The whole world knew that Iran was funding and training and assisting Hamas for its sole aim of destroying Israel. The world knew that the Hamas was taking money and infrastructure given by the international community to help the civilians of Gaza. They took it to build terror tunnels. They took it to build their own infrastructure.
Till a few months ago, Mr. Netanyahu's government was seen almost to be using Hamas to take on the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank. That there were reports that suggested that the government of Israel had actively at times encouraged a section of Hamas almost to pose it as a political rival to the Palestinian Authority. What happened on October 7th is horrific. No one denies that, ma'am. What is now happening appears to be a full-scale war in which millions of innocents could also become victims of what is happening. Is that what Israel wants? What does Israel really want?
Of course, Israel doesn't want this, because Israel did not start this attack. And the attack did not just happen on October 7th. You yourself said 10 days. The terror attack has been continuing for 10 days, because over 6,800 rockets are still being launched as we are speaking into Israel. As we are speaking, 200 babies, children, and women are being brutalized by Hamas. So the terror attack is still going on, and Israel cares for its populations, cares for its citizens. Israel will have to make sure, first and foremost, that Israel is back to being secure and safe. Secondly, we have to make sure these innocent people who were kidnapped are freed. And third, we need to make sure that such a terror attack, and maybe people misjudge Hamas. Maybe they thought they were moving from a terror organization into somebody who you may be able to discuss ruling the 2 million people they're in charge of, ruling them. Obviously, it was a mistake. Obviously, they don't care. They want to destroy Jewish lives, but they don't care about the lives of the people living in the territory that, by the way, Israel is not there. We haven't been in there for 18 years, except for, like you rightly said, 2009, 2014, for limited days. But these limited attacks apparently did not stop them. They gained strength, they gained weapons, and they're trying to kill us. So there's no really a question here what Israel must do.
Is there any possibility, though, of negotiating for the hostages release? In the past, the same Netanyahu government had negotiated for the life of one soldier. Is there a possibility, given that you all claim that there are over 100 hostages at least being held?
200.
200 is the number that is being given by some. We don't know the exact figure. 200 is what we are being officially told. Given that number, is the Israeli government willing to negotiate with Hamas, as Iran claims that end the hostilities and will hand over the hostages? Is that a possibility?
The Hamas at the moment is not even willing to talk to the Red Cross. They're not even willing to give information to the Red Cross. They're not willing to meet with the Red Cross. So if they're not willing to meet with this international organization, that one of their main purposes is to take care of kidnapped people, to see that people were kidnapped under, they're not willing to speak to them. So I don't know where people are coming up with other ideas. You rightly said in the past, but Hamas Hamas can decide right now. Hamas can decide in an hour. Hamas can go and say, here, they're all freed. Stop firing at us, and then check what we do.
No,
But
no,
Hamas is not
let
doing
me
that.
get
And
that clear.
anybody
If
who
Hamas
says
does
differently,
that, if Hamas says we are handing over you the hostages, will the firing stop? Will there be a cessation of hostilities? Or is the aim to completely dismantle Hamas, whatever it takes?
at the moment, I told you we have three goals, right? Safety and security first to everybody, Israeli citizens, non-Israeli citizens, Jews, Arab, Muslims, Christians, everybody living in Israel need to be safe and secure again. We need to free the hostages, and we have to make sure Hamas is not able to launch such an attack again. Think about it. Think how many targets of Hamas infrastructure our Air Force has already struck. And despite that, they still have enough rockets to keep barrages onto the whole of Israel, into Tel Aviv, into Jerusalem, to the south part where they also, attacked on Saturday, the 7th of October. Think how many weapons they stored, how much money does it take, how much infrastructure, how much people power that they could have used for the people of Gaza. But they knowingly and deliberately for years stockpiled with an attempt to destroy. They never, they don't care about their people, and they don't do it. Just one more example. Israel already 24 hours ago told the people in North Gaza to please start moving to South Gaza. You know who stopped them? You know who put blockades on the road so these people won't go? The Hamas tried to stop the people, told them you should die as martyrs and stay, and tried to stop them from moving south. And another thing, people were saying that Gaza doesn't have water, doesn't have enough water. Israel today at 9 a.m. Israel time, which is 11:30 India time, opened the water flow into South Gaza. What we stopped, we're at war with the Hamas organization, and yet we're opening the water flow. I don't know what other country at war does that. We opened a humanitarian corridor. I don't know what other country does that without knowing anything about our hostages and without any claim for them being released. This is what we did this morning, because we are fighting Hamas. We're not fighting the people of Gaza. And war is horrible.
No, I take your point.
Is sad.
War is terrible. War is sad. Even so, an evacuation order asking refugees to leave within 24 hours, more than 1 million people being asked to leave Gaza. Many are suggesting that's a violation of human rights, of international law. What Israel is doing is actually, in a way, pushing the Palestinians into a situation where many people who are completely, as I said earlier, uninvolved with the war will also suffer. And is that what you want? Is that what you want? That you will have this large number of people being virtually forced out into what they already are calling an open prison?
To the south part, they can call it what they want to call it. But since 2005, and Hamas has had control of Gaza since 2007, you yourself said they had the Rafah crossing into Egypt. We had two corridors allowing international assistance and goods to come in on a daily basis. 18,000 people from Gaza daily came into Israel to work. So they could, the Hamas terrorist organization can call what they want. They can show whatever pictures they want. They can now try to say that they're doing what they're doing, but the proof is on the ground. The proof is that IDF is telling them, please leave. We need to shoot down these rockets weapons. We need to shoot down this command center. There's a whole stockpile here of weapons we need to destroy. Please leave. And the Hamas, and by the way, many of the Hamas commanders don't even live in Gaza. They live abroad, and they tell these women and children, no, stay and die.
Can I ask?
What other country opens water again because people are in need of water, and Hamas, that's in charge of them, that is governing them, is not giving them water because they want them not to have water. So Israel is giving them water. This is the proof. 200, you're saying crimes against humanity, kidnapping children, raping and brutalizing women as we are speaking now.
Can I ask you therefore?
Crime against humanity?
Can I therefore ask you in conclusion, what is the end game here? I mean, are we heading for a prolonged offensive which could also involve other countries possibly in the region, given Iran, Lebanon's interests? The fact is the US Secretary of State has been to several moderate Gulf states as well. None of them are openly condemning Hamas. Instead, they are calling for an end to Israeli strikes on Gaza.
Look, words aside and deeds aside, okay? Nobody except for the Iranian regime, who is also very, very clear about its goal for annihilating and destroying Israel, And they're, as I said, funding and helping Hamas. They're the main benefactor of Hamas, the same as Hezbollah in the north. Okay, nobody is helping Hamas or thinks they're not a terror organization. Hamas has been designated for years and years as a terrorist organization internationally. So Israel doesn't want war. I think we proved it again and again, and we proved it every time where we've suffered rockets and civilians have died and infrastructure was ruined, and we've always retaliated, in a very limited form, hoping that Hamas will understand that we're serious, hoping that Hamas would understand that we don't want them attacking and to stop. But it's been going on for years, and this is not the first terror attack we're suffering. This is the most heinous one. This is the most gruesome one. This brings us back to days that we don't want to remember, about burning people alive and brutalizing young girls. And they're still doing it. So obviously, as I said, Israel doesn't want war. We're all praying for peace in the region. Our war is only at Hamas terror organization, but we have to ensure our peace and security first and foremost.
Let me leave it there, Tammy. You've spoken very directly, and you've given us the sense of the Israeli government position. I appreciate you joining me here on the news today. Thank you very much for speaking
Thank
out.
you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we've heard from the Israeli position, and what we've attempted to do is get all sides to this story. So I'm joined now by another very special guest. Joining me from the United States is best-selling Palestinian author, activist, poet Susan Abul Hawa joins us, known to speak her mind out. Appreciate your joining us, Susan. Your first reactions to what has happened during the last week, the dastardly Hamas attack on Israeli civilians, and now the humanitarian crisis in Gaza, which people in the area are facing at the moment. How do you see it as a writer and an activist who has often spoken out about Palestinian human rights?
Well, that's interesting how you frame the question. You start with a dastardly attack by Hamas and then a humanitarian crisis, as if the humanitarian crisis is an act of God. In fact, there have been dastardly attacks by Israel long before Hamas resisted. I don't accept that. I don't accept the framing that you were putting forth. As a formerly colonized people, you should know better. You should know better what colonial violence looks like. And it's really just so sad to see the way India has changed from the times of Nehru to now, to supporting a fascist settler colonial genocidal state after what you endured under the British for so long. Palestinians are an indigenous population who have been living under the yoke of profound racism, extreme violence for decades. Anything Palestinians do is resistance to that. Israel began by saying, talking about dead babies and rape, and all of that turned out to be lies. It is verified now that those are lies. But journalists around the world, and it sounds like including
Susan,
you, just accept this Israeli narrative as if it's fact.
No,
and
Susan,
it's still sticking.
No, Susan, let me pause you for a moment. The fact is, I certainly on this show have not put out a Western media narrative about babies being beheaded. We've gone by the facts on the ground. The fact is, Susan, like it or not, what happened on 7th October was, I use the word dastardly. More than 1,000 people are killed in a terror attack, many of them innocent civilians, non-combatants. How can I not use that word dastardly?
Why don't you use that? Why don't you use that dastardly adjective to describe the decades of Israeli attacks? Why don't you are using a Western narrative? Absolutely, you are.
No, I'm not.
Like, it's okay when Israel attacks every single day. Every single day, Israeli soldiers break into Palestinian homes, drag their children from their beds, and terrorize them. Every day, Israeli settlers backed by the Israeli military shoot and burn and harass and kill and attack Palestinians. Every day, Israeli military, so let me finish. You brought me on here to speak.
No,
let me speak. Every single day, Israel is destroying Palestinians.
Ma'am, Susan, the fact is, You know, the fact is Palestinian victimhood.
No, I want to hear you say that what Israel has been doing for 75 years is dastardly. Can you say that?
Of course, I can say.
No, just tell me if you think it's dastardly what Israel has been doing to us for 75 years. Tell me if you think it's dastardly that Israel has imprisoned 2.3 million human beings. 80% of them are refugees from those surrounding towns around Gaza, by the way. Tell me if it's not dastardly that these people are living in a literal concentration camp without access to electricity, water.
Susan, we can disagree over the usage of words. No one is denying that Israeli occupation of Gaza, and I use that word carefully. You call it genocide. Those are your words, genocidal attacks on Palestine. Palestinian victimhood, Palestinian tragedies cannot justify surely what happened on the 7th of October. All I'm saying is we seem to be therefore in this endless cycle of violence, of revenge.
Why would you not call it, why would you not call it genocidal? They are literally, and Israeli commanders have admitted that they are targeting civilians. And there's a video of an Israeli commander saying that we are targeting civilians. He has said that. Why will you not call that genocide? They have attacked hospitals. They have attacked schools, universities, clinics, schools, whole high-rise apartment buildings. They have attacked water treatment plants, food factories. They have cut off water and food. They are people literally getting buried under the rubble of their homes. Over 900 children, 900 babies.
That is one side of the story.
And proof and photos of those babies, unlike what the Israeli claims, which I'm sure you have never seen or never verified the numbers that they are giving you. I am sure you have never seen all of these so-called 1,200 people. There has not been a single verified report of Israeli claims, yet it keeps being repeated as if it's fact, and you call it dastardly. But then this actual genocide that's happening to Palestinians, you won't even call it that. That is
Susan,
on you. That is on the media. It is dishonest, and you are participating in the manufacturing of consent for another Western imperial genocidal war. And we are paying the price. We have been paying the price for 75 years.
Susan,
how can India, a former colony that endured the unspeakable under the British, how can you now be saying what you're saying? That is the mind-blowing part, how quickly you have forgotten what the West has done to you. And now you are allying with a Western settler colonial state that has been devastating and terrorizing wholesale the indigenous Palestinian population for decades. Under full view of the world.
Susan, the reason I have you on my show is to understand the Palestinian perspective, and I will come in a moment to the horrific humanitarian crisis that's ongoing in Gaza at the moment. I'm not escaping from that reality. I'm only saying there are different stories to be told here, that's all.
Stop calling it a humanitarian crisis. This is an intentional genocidal war. A humanitarian crisis is when an earthquake happens. It's when a tornado happens. That's a humanitarian crisis. When a nuclear power is literally bombing the most populated place in the world and bombing human beings and civilians and children and women and elderly and mothers and fathers, that is not a humanitarian crisis. That is genocide. Say it. You need to say it, and you need to be honest. You need to be honest with your viewers.
I use the word
being wiped off the map.
I use the word genocide, if I may say so, has to be used very, very carefully. But I just want to understand, since you've objected throughout this interview to my use of the word dastardly for what took place on October 7th, the Hamas attack, I want to tell you, how do you describe it? I want to ask you, what is your description then of what happened on the 7th of October?
There you go. It is only Israeli lives that matter in this narrative. I know you have seen the images. Thousands of
all
Palestinians
non-combatants died
year after year slaughtered wholesale. And then, but you want to talk about Israeli civilians.
Yes.
Who are actually, all of them are conscripted. All of them serve in the military. All of them are literally living in colonies that on the ancestral village of the people in Gaza. But nonetheless, let me finish, please. Nonetheless, Hamas fighters, there's videos of this, and they have released them. Hamas fighters were treated civilians humanely, and there have been at least 5 interviews with those civilians, the survivors in Israel,
Susan, they were slaughtered.
Attest to that. Every single one of them attests to the fact that the fighters treated them humanely.
How do you treat someone humanely when you kill them?
I watched a video of an Israeli survivor in one of the kibbutzes saying that Israeli soldiers shot Israeli civilians.
Oh, come on.
And this is from these Israeli survivors saying that. You need to investigate and you need to confirm what you're saying,
Susan,
because you're just repeating Israeli lies,
and
your viewers deserve better. The people deserve to hear the truth.
Susan, the people deserve...
You have proof. If you have actual proof of dead Israeli innocent people, then show it to your viewers. But to date, none of that has been revealed.
Susan, the fact is there is enough evidence and more that non-combatant innocent civilians on both sides have been killed, and they all deserve our support, whether they are Israeli or Palestinian. You will agree with that, surely. All I am saying is that we need to hear voices of sanity and rationality who say that any form of violence against civilians is unacceptable.
Everybody, of course, absolutely. But why? But you are selectively giving that acknowledgement and that support, because you keep talking about October 7th as if that's where history starts, as if there hasn't been 75 years of wholesale slaughter of Palestinians. Why not start there? Why is it only Israeli lives that matter?
I didn't say that.
Muslims
Palestinian lives do matter, for God's sake.
And in Palestine have never had a problem with Jews. We have lived among them throughout the Arab world for as long as history has been recorded, and that is documented, that is uncontested. So, it is these European settler colonizers who have come from European countries and robbed us of everything, have destroyed our society, are literally have us living under the yoke of their boots on our necks. They have terrorized us wholesale, and you don't. Why don't you tell your peers that? Why don't you tell them the truth?
I will tell them the truth, Susan. I will tell them the truth about Palestinian lives which have been lost, and innocent Israeli lives that have been lost. My question to you is, in the present scenario, how do we now move ahead? How do we ensure 2 states, a Jewish state and a Palestinian state, will coexist peacefully when all I see is so much of hatred and violence on either side? That's what I see, hatred and violence. Let me be very honest with you. An unwillingness to hear the other side.
First of all, when you say 2 sides, you make it sound like they're equal. There is one side that has all the power, all the guns, all the money, all the control, all the political support, all the political cover. And then there's another side that's an indigenous population that most of them are refugees who have been kicked out of their homes. They are a principally unarmed civilian population with a tiny little guerrilla armed resistance group that's principally also unarmed. Inflict real damage.
Susan, with due regard, ma'am, I have a problem with the use of the word armed resistance for Hamas. I agree with a lot of what you've just said, but I have a problem with the use of the word armed resistance for a terror group that is now using violence against civilians to make to get its view across. I completely agree with you that what is happening with civilians in Gaza is unacceptable. But you must also concede, ma'am, that armed resistance cannot involve these kinds of crimes.
I want you to show proof to your viewers of the so-called murder of non-combatants. If you can show them proof of that, because to date we have seen no footage, we have seen no videos, we have seen no photographs. The only thing we have seen so far, the only thing that has been released so far has been
We have dozens of photographs, Susan, of young Israeli kids who were killed in the attack. Let us look at this rationally now. How does one build bridges at the moment when I see so much of hate and violence around us? Yes, there is a propaganda war being waged on both sides, but I ask you the question again, ma'am. How do you reduce the hate that seems to have toxified the atmosphere?
Sir, let me, this is like somebody saying to Indians in the 30s, how do you build bridges when there's so much hate on both sides? That was never said, and nobody should ever say it. Nobody should have ever said to Black South Africans, how do you build bridges with the people who are literally slaughtering you and keeping you in hellholes? Nobody said that. We are not in a position to build anything.
What?
We have no power. We have nothing.
What is the way forward, Susan? What do you think then is the way forward? If you can't build bridges, if hatred and violence will result in this cycle of violence and revenge and retribution, what is the way forward, you think, to ensure that human lives, the minimal number of human lives are lost and Palestinians are restored their dignity, and Israel's existence is recognized?
The way forward is for the international community to finally stand up to this settler colonial genocidal state and force them to obey international law. That's how you move forward. Stop painting us like we're people, like we're monsters who just want to kill Jews. We want to live just like everybody wants to live. We deserve to live in dignity. We deserve to live in our homeland without being molested by people who think we are animals or garbage. We deserve that. We deserve universal dignity. We deserve freedom. We deserve not to live in a concentration camp without electricity, without water, without food, without the ability to travel, without the ability to study, to have dreams. We deserve that. And until the international community can stand up to Israel and make that clear to them, this is going to continue to happen. And this right now, the way you frame this, you are manufacturing consent to genocide, and that is what is happening. Tell the truth. That is all we're asking. Tell your viewers the whole truth. Tell them what has been happening before October 7th. Tell them what's happening now in Gaza. Just tell the truth.
Well, Susan, all I can tell you, as you've spoken so passionately, we try and tell the truth as we see it to all our viewers from both sides of this divide. And we will ensure, I promise you, all views, including yours, reach our viewers. And I appreciate that you've joined us and spoken there so angrily and passionately so that viewers recognize that this is not a one-sided narrative. I appreciate you joining me, ma'am, here on the show today.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you having me, and I appreciate you allowing your viewers to hear our voice. Thank you.
Let me turn from there to what is on the ground. You heard Susan there speaking very passionately about what she believes are war crime, genocide as she calls it, in Gaza. Now, most UN shelters in Gaza have run out of water. There is no electricity. The internet has been shut down. Medical supplies are running low, and hospitals have turned into morgues. Tonight's ground report comes from Gaza.
With every passing day, life in Gaza is becoming tougher and tougher. Finding clean drinking water in the Gaza Strip is a challenge. People are forced to stand in long lines for hours, as Israel has stopped water supply to more than 2.3 million Gazans. People are forced to drink salt water to survive.
Now we are filling in salt water. I'm ready to drink this water. What else can we do? We are forced to do this.
Muhammad has been volunteering to fill in canisters with salt water from a public tap and deliver them on a rickshaw to families.
Because of the large number of people inside the camp, there is no water. So I thought I would volunteer, come with a rickshaw and carry the water from the faraway areas, the dangerous areas, where there are agricultural lands and it's near the occupation in front of the empty lands.
Supply of food, medicine and power are also hit. Health officials in the Gaza Strip are storing the bodies of Palestinians killed in Israeli airstrikes in ice cream freezer trucks.
Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital in Deir al-Balah is suffering from a severe lack of equipment. The hospital morgue can only take 10 bodies. So we have brought in ice cream freezers from the ice cream factories in order to store the huge number of martyrs coming in daily. Even with these freezers, the number exceeds the capacity of this main morgue of the hospital and alternative ones. And between 20 and 30 bodies are being kept in tents too.
The hospital, this hospital itself will possibly break down with the situation getting dire in terms of the needs and essential supplies needed by the hospital. This is a part of an integral part of how is the image in Gaza for the time being, especially for Gaza's hospitals.
Over 4 lakh Gazans have left their homes to move towards the south as Israel prepares for a possible ground invasion. These civilians are paying the price of a war they did not start. With Rami Al-Megari in Gaza Strip, Bureau Report, India Today.
I would keep saying this, there are no winners in war, there are only losers. Let's take a break. When we return, we'll turn to our other big story tonight. The Supreme Court gives a major pro-life verdict, rejects the plea of a mother to terminate a 26-week pregnancy, says the right to life prevails over the mother's choice. We'll get you details of that important judgment. You're watching the news today, the one primetime show that brings you news without the noise.
You are watching India Today, powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a B&P Group company.
Colors by Cola makes you wish everything was as vibrant. Colors by Cola makes you wish everything was as vibrant. Colors by Cola makes you wish everything was as vibrant.
Welcome back. The Supreme Court today, in an important judgment, rejected a married woman's request to terminate her 26-week pregnancy, stating that the court could not approve an abortion request at this stage of pregnancy since there is no danger to the woman's life. The Supreme Court said the parents of the woman can make the decision on whether to give up the child for abortion, claiming that the pregnancy is of 26 weeks and 5 days and thus violates the Medical Terminacy Pregnancy Act. The apex court rejected the woman's petition. Anisha Mathur has more.
The Supreme Court attempting to strike a balance between the rights of a woman to choose what happens to her own body and the provisions of the MTP Act, which proscribe that right depending on the gestational period of the pregnancy. The court making it clear that while in India women do have the right to choose, it is also prescribed and proscribed by the MTP Act itself. However, the Chief Justice also making it clear that the larger debate on pro-life and pro-choice angles that is going on in the rest of the world does not affect India because India has its own law. In New Delhi, with cameraman Jagannath, this is Anisha Mathur for India Today.
Let's get more details. I'm joined by one of the advocates who was in that case, Ameya Vikrama Thanvi. Appeared on behalf of the centre in the Supreme Court. Ma'am, I want you to explain with greater detail what does the Supreme Court order mean when it rejects the plea of a married woman to abort her third pregnancy because it had crossed the 26-week mark. Can you explain why did the Supreme Court reject the plea and what does this order now mean in future for potential abortion cases?
So, thank you for having me. The Supreme Court orders essentially a reiteration of the law that we already have, which is the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act, which is the statute that governs the entire law concerning abortion. Now, what the Supreme Court has said that we have a statute in place which permits abortion without any hindrance, without any questions, up to a certain limit. And beyond that time period, there are only two exceptions, which is there is a danger to the life of the fetus or of the and in those exceptional circumstances beyond the period of 24 weeks, and a termination of pregnancy will be allowed.
So
that the Supreme Court has essentially balanced the right of the woman who is bearing the child and the child that is to be born.
So essentially you're saying that it will only be in exceptional circumstances after the 24-week period that an abortion will be allowed. To that extent, in that situation, the woman's freedom of choice is greatly reduced. Am I clear?
That would be a very broad statement. I wouldn't agree with that. The Supreme Court has said, like every other freedom, this freedom is also reasonably restricted. The Supreme Court has had to balance the rights here. See, even with right to life, it's not an absolute right. There is no right in our constitution which is absolute. We have that established. And in a democracy, statutes are a voice of the public, which essentially say what is the mandate of the public with regards to different issues. In this specific case, the right of a woman to choose what happens to her body has been upheld by the Supreme Court previously, and now only a clarification has come that this is not an absolute right.
But what it effectively means Ms. Thanvi, is because one of the lawyers argued in the court that an unborn child or an unborn fetus does not have overriding rights to life. The court seems to have rejected that and made it very clear that this right to life, while not being an absolute right, is subject to the rules of the Medical Pregnancy Termination Act. Am I correct?
Correct. In fact, the court clarified that we have our own law, and in the absence of a challenge to that law, and in the absence of striking down of that law, we have to act within the four corners of the law of the land as it exists.
But does that in a way circumscribe the term life under Section 5 of the Act? Because the court seems to have interpreted it that this cannot be decided by the pregnant woman. Am I right in saying that the right to choice, pro-choice activists will say this is limiting the right of the woman?
No, I will disagree with that. The court has essentially said that it is everything has is see ultimately it is after the examination of the woman. It was medical advice which governed the court's order. It's not a sweeping. There cannot be a sweeping generalization that in absolutely no case a woman will not be allowed to choose to terminate her pregnancy beyond a certain time limit. There are certain cases, there are certain exceptional circumstances prescribed within our statute, within our law, which still permit women to choose. But in this given case, it was in the light of the facts of the case and after examination by the medical board that the court reached its decision.
So very quickly in conclusion, the freedom of choice remains, but it cannot be absolute. Am I right? Broadly.
You are absolutely correct, sir. Freedom of choice remains, and it is ultimately a woman's choice to decide what she wants to do with her body.
Okay, thank you very much there for joining me. I appreciate you joining me there and giving us the perspective of that important judgment in the courts. I'm afraid that's all the time that I have on the show tonight. The good news I want to leave you with is it's confirmed now. Cricket has been included in the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics. That decision was reaffirmed in Mumbai. Remember, that's a story that we had broken here on the news today last week. So guess what? We won't just have a World Cup of cricket. Come a few months from now, a few years from now, cricket will be at the Olympics and we could even have gold medal winners there. So that's the big good news that's coming from Mumbai, and more power in that sense to cricket and the Olympic movement. That's just about enough time that I have on the show tonight. Thanks for watching. You stay well, stay safe. Good night. Shubhratri. Jai Hind. Namaskar.
You are watching India Today, powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a B&P Group company.
Colors by Cola makes you wish everything was as vibrant. Colors by Cola makes you wish everything was as vibrant. Colors by Cola makes you wish everything was as vibrant.
Get ready for an immersive journey into the heart of news, politics, and insights that matter. Join India Today now on WhatsApp. Scan the QR code. You are watching India Today, powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a B&P Group company.
We cannot be silent. Silence is complicity. Silence is complicity. Folks, we're the United States of America, and there's nothing beyond our capacity when we do it together. Nothing, nothing, nothing. So let's stand together and get everyone else on the deal.
What I've heard from virtually every partner was a determination, a shared view that we have to do everything possible to make sure this doesn't spread to other places. A shared view to safeguard innocent lives. A shared view to get assistance to Palestinians in Gaza who need it, and we're working very much on that.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
Israel-Hamas blood feud returns. All-out war engulfs West Asia.
Again you hear another blast.
Fearless reportage and exclusive news breaks.
तो यहाँ से एक ground report दिखा रहा हूँ. किसी भी समय यहाँ कुछ भी हो सकता है.
India's biggest conflict reporters, live and exclusive.
You just heard those sounds of the blast. Is the real images. Look at the massive destruction.
West Asia war through India Today cameras.
Good evening, viewers. Let's take a look at the weather report across the major cities this evening. Thiruvananthapuram is at 32 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 25. Mumbai is at 35 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 154. Panji is at 30 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 78. Ahmedabad is at 35 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 112. Bhopal is at 32 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 106. Jaipur is at 32 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 99. Delhi is at 29 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 106. Srinagar is at 9 degrees Celsius with AQI being 27. Lucknow is at 33 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 238. Patna is at 35 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 326. Kolkata is at 33 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 273. Hyderabad is at 32 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 126. Bangalore is at 30 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 68. Chennai is at 31 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 57. This is all we have for you in this segment. Hope wherever you are, you find favorable weather around you. Keep watching India Today for all the weather updates with me AI Sana all through the day.
You are watching India Today, powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a B&P Group company.
Extra taste from Indian Oil. Cello, रिश्ता जिंदगी भर का.
Hello and welcome to an India Today special broadcast. I'm Gaurav Sawant. This broadcast comes to you from the southern Israel border area of Sderot. We are not very far from the Israel-Hamas or Gaza Strip What you see behind me is swift movement of military vehicles all the way to the border, because this is where Israel will advance into Gaza Strip. The pounding from the skies, the artillery, howitzers pounding Hamas bases, that continues. Ground forces are on the ready. But in midst of all of this, there is also the question of the hostages, Israeli hostages being held by Hamas. And is that what is holding back Israel's advance? The hope of bringing back more than 100 hostages back home alive. Over the course of the next half hour, we get you all details of Israel's plans to decimate Hamas and bring back its hostages. Stay with us.
Countdown to Gaza invasion. Israeli tanks and troops ready. Israel sets 5-hour evacuation deadline. India today at the front line of this war.
We are running away to safety because the rocket alert has been sounded.
Ground report from battle zone.
This is day 10 of Israel's war on Hamas. The ground forces are ready for that imminent attack. But is something holding Israel back? Is there a delay? And is the reason for the delay the hostages? Well, Israel's artillery, armor, mechanized forces, ground forces all ready and mobilized. The artillery pounding continues. Internally, Israel has also deployed a large number of security forces personnel, and not just on the border along Gaza, but even if we were to talk about what's happening at the West Bank, 360 people have been taken into custody, several with links with the Hamas terrorist organization. Also on ground, this isn't the first time that Israeli forces would be moving into Gaza Strip. They've done that twice, 2009 and 2014. It's different this time. This time, Israel wants to completely decimate the Hamas, a task that's easier said than done.
Devastated by Israeli bombardments, more than 1 million Gazans have fled their homes as an Israeli ground invasion looms. Airstrikes have been unchallenged. In the face of no credible anti-aircraft weapons or air defense systems at Hamas's disposal. Destruction in the besieged Gaza Strip unprecedented. (2,670 Palestinians have been killed and 9,600 wounded since the fighting erupted on October 7th. More than 1,400 Israelis have died, most of them civilians killed in the Hamas attack. Casualties may mount dramatically in the event of Israeli forces launching a ground incursion. Much of Hamas's military infrastructure believed to be concealed in urban areas. A street-by-street fighting can't be ruled out if Israeli military unleashes a full-fledged ground assault. Israel has ordered more than 1 million Palestinians, almost half the territory's population, to move to Gaza's south. Hamas has called upon Palestinian residents to stay put. In the past, Israeli forces invaded Gaza twice. The first time in 2009 for 15 days, and then in 2014 for 19 days. When Israeli ground forces advanced into Gaza's dense cities earlier, they've been effectively targeted with Hamas anti-tank mines, anti-tank guided missiles, rocket-propelled grenades. Hamas now equipped with a newer weapon, grenade-wielding drones it used in the October 7 attack, and possible stockpiles of anti-tank weaponry. International urban warfare experts also caution against Hamas's ancient tactic of using tunnel bombs. Blasting its way through the 40-kilometer Gaza Strip may sound easier than done. The Israeli military would be going up against a group that has trained for years in hardened urban combat and possibly war-gamed such an invasion for years, despite Israel's own human intelligence and technology. With Gaurav Sawant and Ashutosh Mishra in Israel, Bureau Report, India Today.
It's Tinderbox, West Asia. Right now, the situation here in southern Israel extremely tense after the deadline for Palestinians to cross over into southern Gaza. 2 safe lanes have been given, but other areas are systematically being targeted by the Israeli artillery and armor. You can hear the helicopters, you can also hear the F-16 fighter jets bombing locations of the Hamas leadership. Yahya Sinwar, the head of Hamas, is on target. Iran has given some information that there are 199 Israeli citizens in the custody of the Hamas, and if this bombing stops, they may be returned. That's the big question. Is that holding back Israel's bigger operations even as this pounding of Hamas bases continue? Gaurav Sawant in southern Israel for India Today.
Okay, हम लोग इस समय यहाँ से भागकर जा रहे हैं. We are running away to safety because the rocket alert has been sounded. Watch around. Be careful. Okay, folks. So we were here to do an interview, but suddenly there's a rocket alert and we have come to safety.
Along the Gaza Strip, according to Israeli assessment, more than 500,000 people have already started moving downwards towards the southern part of the country, but another 500,000 need to move. That's Israel's assessment. But even here in Israel, all along the southern belt close to Gaza Strip, towns, cities, settlements, villages, they're all being evacuated. In Sderot, one of the largest settlements that was hit by the Hamas terror attack, more than 30,000 people have been evacuated to safety. Some, of course, have moved to Jerusalem, some to Tel Aviv, others closer but far away from the direct line of Hamas fire. India Today's Ashutosh Mishra is on ground zero. He sent us this report.
India Today is at ground zero in southern Israel's Sderot town, and perhaps the last stretch of the town where you have the open terrain connecting to Gaza before you proceed for Be'eri Kibbutz. All these areas are now heavily guarded by the armed forces of Israel, and it is also open for the world media to see the kind of terror unleashed by the terrorists of Hamas group. The kind of attack it has done, killing innocent civilian women, children, and number of people. These people, the moment they heard probably there is attack, they were trying to flee from this place, but before they could, number of bullets were fired in a huge number. These bullets were fired. There you can see the toddlers, the small children, young kids, the people who were trying to escape. But the footprints of the violence and the terror attack, blood spilled all over, shoes of perhaps the driver who was trying to flee, start the vehicle. Another side, there is a toddler seat made here inside and his toys or her toys. All you see, no human being alive in this part except the Israeli troops. And the idea of this explains the furious situation, the tension, and of course the terror attack by Hamas in Israel's southern part. In southern and bordering Sderot, with this report, I am Ashutosh Mishra for India Today.
Israel is fighting the Hamas on its southern border. The Hezbollah have been activated along the northern borders in Lebanon. So there's also tension at the Syrian border. So Israel now has a war virtually on 3 fronts: Hamas, Hezbollah, Lebanon, and in Syria. On top of that, Iran has warned Israel against mounting a ground attack in the Gaza Strip, saying in case Israel occupies Gaza Strip, there will be consequences. Israel at the same time has been told in case it stops these massive artillery and rocket attacks on the Gaza Strip, 150 plus hostages may just be returned. For Israel, it's a very tough call. It wants its hostages back. It also wants Hamas to be decimated. We tell you more in this report.
Amid all-out offensive on Hamas in Gaza, a full-blown multiple-front war looks likely for Israel after deadly terror attacks by Hamas. Israel is now engaged in an escalating fight with Iranian proxy Hezbollah. Repeated exchange of fire between Israel and Hezbollah, hiding in Lebanon and Syria, have claimed lives on both sides. In the latest, Hezbollah on Monday killed top Israeli commander.
Sporadic fire across the Israel-Lebanon border over the past week has raised concerns that fighting with Hamas militants in Gaza could escalate into a border conflict.
Hezbollah released images of its fighters taking down Israeli observation posts. Hezbollah has warned it may escalate its military involvement if Israel invades Gaza. Israel has beefed up security on the border adjoining Lebanon, anticipating escalation.
You are seeing these mountains, these are part of the Palestine and controlled by Israel. In fact, these all areas are the part of Palestine. But on these mountains, there is not the concrete wall what the Israel created in other parts of the of its country, particularly on the border with Lebanon, here in South Lebanon.
The border fighting between Israel and Lebanon has stoked fears of spillover of Israel-Hamas war. UN office in South Lebanon was attacked by Israeli warplanes.
Behind me is the main headquarters of the United Nations here in Ankara, which was bombed yesterday late evening by the jet of Israel army. Luckily, the bomb fell outside the periphery of the UN headquarters and there was not any kind of damage reported from the UN base here.
Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has reportedly moved some of its members towards the Israeli border, stoking fear of opening another front. Israel's war with Hamas clashes with Hezbollah in Lebanon and Syria, and possible escalation with Iran. Will West Asia see its bloodiest phase in decades? With Ashraf Ani in South Lebanon, Bureau Report, India Today.
Remember the Netflix series Fauda? Well, whether it's the main character, Lior, Raz, Turon, or Sagi, or Nurit, they're all contributing to their country. They're all either at the front lines or fighting the information war, reaching out to the world, telling everyone that this is a war against Hamas and not the people of Palestine. I want to now bring you some details of how Fauda, which caught the world's imagination about the conflict between Israel and the terrorists across, well, they see themselves separately as freedom fighters, but that's a different story. But not even the writers of Fauda could imagine a situation like this, where over 1,000 terrorists infiltrated from across and killed more than 1,400 people here in Israel. Let's now get you more on what real life heroes of Fauda are doing in real life for their country.
RPG! كيف قطعته من البحر؟
זה לכם ברור, זה לא חברון, זה לא שכם. Welcome to Gaza.
Fauda or chaos? These were not scenes from a movie, but an unprecedented terror attack, unfolding real time in Israel on October 7th. As Israel and its army scrambled to contain Hamas terrorists,
كيف قطعته من البحر؟
זה לכם ברור, זה לא חברון, זה לא שכם.
many were reminded of the Netflix series of the same name. Now, for the actors who play members of the Israel Defense Force on screen have taken their roles off screen to the real battleground. Leo Raz, the developer and lead actor of the show, took to the front lines in southern Israel, joining the volunteer group Brothers in Arms. As rockets flew overhead, Leo Raz was seen taking cover behind a wall in this video. The video is an eerie callback to Leo's on-screen role as Doron in Fauda, a commander with the undercover unit of the Israel Special Forces. Having served with the Israel Defense Forces for 23 years, Leo drew on his own experiences to create an authentic, hard-hitting portrayal of the conflict. Fans of the actor drew parallels between the ongoing war and Fauda, with many hailing Lior as a real-life hero. Actor Edan Amedi, who played Sagi Zur in the series, has also joined the Israel Defense Force. Clad in a soldier's uniform and carrying a gun in his hands, Edan released this video message.
As you can see, I'm in a slightly different attire today. This is not a scene from Fauda. This is real life. We're here to protect our children, our families and our homes. We will not surrender until we win.
Rona Ali Shimon, who plays Nurit, the sole woman in an all-male undercover squad, has thanked people across the world for supporting Israel.
I wanted to say thank you to all the people around the world who are supporting Israel at this time. Thank you for being vocal with your voices. Thank you for being vocal with your support. This is the best thing that you can do for us. I've been getting messages from all around the world of support. Thank you so much.
On Monday, the Fauda actor made an appeal to free the Israelis held hostage by Hamas terrorists.
Every civilian, every citizen of Israel is now supporting the cause of, first of all, bringing the hostages back. We are doing everything in our power to bring them back.
These are Israel's real-life heroes in the line of duty, fighting against Hamas. Bureau Report, India Today.
as hundreds and thousands of soldiers get to the front lines, as tanks and armored personnel carriers line up, as F-16 fighter jets and Heron drones target various vital assets and vital points of a terrorist organization called Hamas. The situation here remains extremely tense and takes a turn for the worse perhaps with each passing hour. India Today will continue to report from ground zero, but that is all I have for you on this special broadcast. Many thanks for watching. News and updates continue on India Today. Stay with us.
You are watching India Today, powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a BNP Group company. Israel-Hamas blood feud returns. All-out war engulfs West Asia.
Look at the massive destruction. So this is just a matter of 5 minutes.
Fearless reportage and exclusive news breaks.
You just heard those sounds of the blast.
Bombed out house here in Ashkelon in southern Israel. India Today is the only team which is reporting from the border.
India's biggest conflict reporters, live and exclusive. West Asia War through cameras.
Now joining me in this telecast is a survivor, Tal Ben-Dror. She was at that location. So I just want to confirm once, Tal, that were you there at the party? What time did the attack started by the Hamas terrorists?
We've been in the party and generally between 3,000 to 4,000 people, I think. But I came with something around 15 friends to the party. And we were there. We arrived at 2 a.m.
Yes.
And everything started, I think, around 6:40 a.m., something like that.
Can I ask, how did you manage to escape given the situation that was there? I know it's difficult to narrate this ordeal again, but I also want the world to know what exactly happened, what all did you go through?
Yeah, I'll tell you how it started. There were rockets in the sky, but I was still calm because I saw the Iron Dome is doing a great job. And my service was in Gaza. I serviced in the army in Reim, the base that was 5 minutes from the party, I think. It's like really close. And then the security guy waved at his hand and shouted. And then they stopped the music and told us, guys, take your stuff, go home. Just leave. And we started packing our things, but we were still chilled. We just thought that the producers won't take the responsibility, but there are only rockets, and we'll get back home safely. We ordered the driver of the minibus. We arrived by minibus. And at the time, I had already friends that went independently by car, and I didn't understand the panic yet. I sent messages to my sister, audio messages, and now I can hear the shooting. I didn't know it's shooting at the time. And we sat in the minibus and we wanted to wait because we knew that the traffic is crazy and people are driving now with alcohol in the blood, etc., and they can kill people. So we said, let's wait 10-15 minutes. Let's not drive with everyone. This decision saved our life, basically.
Death. Devastation. And destruction.
Amid the all-out raids and in the midst of war are innocent children. Gaza's children are paying the heaviest price, with hundreds of them already dead. The ones who are left are scared, vulnerable, and in despair. Some have lost their entire families in the Israeli airstrike. 4-year-old Fulla woke up alone in Khan Yunis's hospital, where she was rushed by rescuers from the ruins of her home, destroyed by an Israeli airstrike that killed 14 family members. Her mother, her father, and her siblings all are dead. Israel has stopped the entry of food, fuel, and medicine into Gaza in a complete blockade. Gaza is running out of supplies with dwindling fuel and blackouts. Israel has asked civilians to evacuate northern part of Gaza to minimize the casualties. But Hamas has urged civilians to stay put, raising fears that there will be more deaths of civilians. Israel says it won't bring in any humanitarian break in its siege in the Gaza Strip until all the hostages are freed. Every hour in Gaza, the number of children being killed is on the rise. Hospitals have been overwhelmed. The situation on the ground is extremely alarming. The children of Gaza are bearing the brunt of the war. With both sides hardening their stance, the children of Gaza have nowhere to go. With Gaurav, Sawant, Ashutosh Mishra in Israel, Bureau Report, India Today.
Hello everyone, this is Anita Brito in conversation with the one and only Shyam Kaushal. Hello sir, कैसे हो आप?
हेलो नमस्कार जी.
अभी भी आप कंटिन्यू कर रहे हो और आपके बहुत अच्छे लाइनअप्स है, जैसे आपने बोला डंकी है, फिर आपके पास जो बंगाली मूवी है वो भी है.
ये बंगला बंधु. हाँ जी.
प्लीज उसके बारे में थोड़ा इन डेप्थ बात कीजिए, थोड़ा डंकी के बारे में हमें बात कीजिए. इट्स एन ऑल एंड आउट एक्शन फिल्म?
नो, इट इज नॉट ए, देयर इज एक्शन इन इट.
बट मुझे ये जानना है आपसे, ये पर्सनल क्वेश्चन है, आपको सबसे ज्यादा कौन से एक्टर के साथ काम करके मजा आया, मुझे ये बताइए.
मैंने अमित जी के साथ काम किया, अमित जी से लेके सभी के साथ जितने भी आगे ना सभी के साथ काम किया. फिर जो साउथ के भी मोस्टली सुपरस्टार्स उनके साथ भी काम किया. पर आज तक भगवान की दुआ से कभी किसी के साथ इशू नहीं हुआ, कभी कुछ नहीं हुआ, सबसे प्यार ही मिला है. तो मेरा एक मानना होता है, जैसा मैं आज भी ओपनली बोलता हूँ कि पिछले मैं 43 साल में मेरे को कोई बुरा आदमी नहीं मिला. तो मैं कभी सोचता नहीं हूँ कि अगर कुछ कमियां होंगी तो मेरे में होंगी. कोई बुरा आदमी नहीं है, कोई भी ऐसा. जब मैं एक्टर्स मेरे जो छोटे हैं, जैसा रणबीर सिंह, रणबीर कपूर, अर्जुन कपूर, उन्होंने मेरे साथ शुरू किया, जब भी मिलते पैर छूते हैं, ऐसा बच्चों की तरह. तो आप अगर उनको प्यार देते हो तो आपको सामने से प्यार मिलेगा ही.
You are watching India Today. Powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a BNP Group company.
Hello and welcome. You're watching the Business Today show with me, Sakshi Batra. First up, the top news we're tracking for you tonight. Cricket returns as an Olympic sport after 128 years. Big boost for the committee as it prepares to reap a windfall from India broadcast rights for the 2028 Olympics in LA. Markets end lower after trading flat for most of the session. FMCG, IT and pharma lead the fall while PSU banks and metals gain. Traders a little nervous as oil prices go beyond the $90 mark. TCS fires 16 employees as it completes a 6-month probe into one of the biggest cash for job scams in recent times. Puts new systems into place to ensure the breakdown does not happen again. Wholesale price inflation at a 6-month high in September, but still stays in the negative. Vegetable, fuel and power prices decline while manufactured products are costlier. Straight on to our top story tonight. Cricket is returning as an Olympic sport. When the oldest organized games are played in Los Angeles in 2028, cricket will be among the 33 sports and will most likely earn India a much treasured Olympic medal. It will also another reason to an audience of more than 1.5 billion to watch the Olympics. But more than that, the inclusion of the sport could also give a fresh boost to the kitty of the International Olympics Association.
India's favourite sport is headed for the Olympics again. A match between England and France was part of the Olympics in 1900. But the sport found itself bowled out at the St. Louis Games 4 years later. It will be after 128 years that the sport returns to the Games at LA. The formal announcement came just a couple of days after Prime Minister Narendra Modi made the big push for India hosting the Olympics in 2036.
ग्लोबल इवेंट्स का आयोजन हमारे लिए दुनिया भर के देशों के स्वागत का मौका होता है। तेजी से बढ़ती इकोनॉमी और अपने वेल डेवलप्ड इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के कारण बड़े ग्लोबल इवेंट्स के लिए भारत तैयार है। ये दुनिया ने भारत की G20 प्रेसिडेंसी के दौरान भी देखा है।
The International Olympics Committee meeting in Mumbai this Sunday has agreed to include 6 new sports in the 2028 LA Games. Cricket, lacrosse, squash, flag football and baseball for men and softball for women. Importantly for Olympics, more sports means more money. This is especially relevant given that most Olympics make a loss. And there are big hopes from cricket. Its inclusion in Los Angeles is expected to bring in more viewers from the Indian subcontinent. The Olympics broadcast rights for India for the Paris Games next year have sold for $20 million. With cricket in the 2028 mix, the ball's out of the stadium and the rights could be sold for as high as $200 million.
The inclusion of cricket in the Olympics will create deeper engagement for the Olympic movement in newer geographies, and at the same time provide a boost to cricket's growing international popularity.
But it's not just the rights which matter. US as the host nation is guaranteed a spot in the final 6. This gives the world's richest sporting nation 5 years to develop the cricketing ecosystem and spread the sport among the baseball crazed fans. Major League Cricket, a franchisee 2020 league featuring international players, has already completed its inaugural season. And as part of Olympics, cricket will be telecast to an audience of over 3 billion people. Bureau Report, Business Today Television.
Well, the festive season is here and the economy is hoping for a big consumption boost with people ready with their shopping carts. One big sector looking at demand picking up is the gems and jewellery sector, especially the diamond industry. While the love for gold is eternal in India, can forever demand for diamonds also outshine the yellow metal for this season? And with lab-grown diamonds gaining popularity fast as well, the industry is now looking at catering to all budget levels. So where should you be spending your your moolah to add more glitter to your festivities this season? Let's find out. Joining in on the show with me are Colin Shah, founder and MD of Karma Jewelry. Also joining in is Lisa Muketkar, founder and CEO of Okera Jewelry. Welcome to both of you to India Today, and thank you so much for taking the time out for this discussion. Well, first up, Colin, let me just take this discussion with you. The peak demand season is right here. You know, what is the demand outlook that you see for diamonds this time vis-a-vis the last year trends?
This festival, it seems to be a little stronger than last year. April, May, June and July were tepid, and they weren't as strong as I would say the same period last year. But getting into season, the number of weddings that we are seeing this year is maybe at an all-time high. The gold price correcting a little in the last 1 month is definitely going to help, because the Indian consumer does tend to buy more jewelry when they see a slight correction in the gold price. And natural diamonds and lab-grown diamonds, we are seeing definitely a 10 to 15% higher demand than what we saw last year.
Let me also get Lisa right here. Lisa, a lot of people are still not fully aware or do have a large doubt whether they must try buying the lab-grown diamonds. You know, how authentic are they? How, do they compare with the natural diamonds? Help us understand first, what is, have the myths around lab-grown diamonds been largely clarified? And what have been the trends in India? Is there enough demand for lab-grown diamonds?
So Sakshi, I think there's very clearly not just a growing interest, but a growing intent to actually buy. We have seen the knowledge levels on grown diamonds increase substantially in the last 8 to 10 months. You can see consumers walking into stores and saying, I've heard of this, I know what it is, can I have some? Sorry. So this is a remarkable shift that we've seen happening, and I think people are coming into stores with two pieces of knowledge. One is that there is no difference between grown diamonds and mined diamonds, and the second is that there's a cost advantage. So in terms of the myths around it, yes, there have been some about whether there is a buyback and exchange on this, and yes, there very much is a buyback and exchange on grown diamonds, just the way it is on any jewelry in India. I think the important thing is that we have very, very beautiful jewelry coming out in grown diamonds. Consumers are there, for grown diamonds. They're interested in buying it. There is clearly a surging demand for grown diamonds.
Okay, so tell us, like you say, that there is a cost advantage. How are the lab-grown diamonds really priced vis-a-vis the natural diamonds? Is there a remarkable difference, say, between a 1-carat natural diamond and a 1-carat lab-grown diamond?
Yes, there is a difference. The difference varies on the size of stone. So it could go anywhere between 25 to 30% on the smaller diamonds, up to 80 to 90% on the very large solitaires that you're talking about.
Colin, let me bring you in then. On the return on investment, you did say that you're positive on the uptick that one could really hope to see or get as far as natural diamonds are concerned over the next 1 to 3 years perspective. But vis-a-vis gold, if we compare, then what kind of appreciation can one hope to get when one invests in diamonds versus gold?
See, gold is a store of value, and you can't really compare the two. Last 50 years or 70 years, if you go back even to independence, gold has consistently given a 5% appreciation year on year to anybody who invested. So you can't, and it's pegged against most currencies globally. It's still economically extremely important. You have central banks buying. So while there is no comparison between the two, gold, if you have to park a significant amount of money, you need, I would say a lot of gold. And diamonds, you can have a relatively, large amount being parked in, say, a few diamonds. So that's the difference. In terms of appreciation or liquidity, gold is definitely, I would say, hands on the winner.
Okay, we'll have an excellent season. Okay, then on that note, season's greetings to both of you as well. And many thanks for joining us on this special edition. So that was the mood as far as the diamond purchases may be heading as far as this festive season is concerned. But moving on, Tata Consultancy Services, or TCS, has now fired 16 employees in one of the biggest cash for job scam in recent times. India's largest IT company has informed the stock exchanges that it completed its investment investigation in the scam which came to light earlier this year. 2 whistleblowers had logged complaints in February and also March, and a resulting probe found that 19 employees to be involved in the scam.
A probe which lasted nearly 6 months into an issue which struck at the very ethnic foundation of TCS, the Tata Group flagship. A cash for job scam has been reported by 2 whistleblowers at 2 locations, India and the US, in February and March. The issue was serious enough to be addressed by Tata Sons chairman N. Chandrasekharan at the company's AGM in June.
Questions that have been for a Tata Group company. The most important thing that is expected of every employee is ethical conduct and integrity in operation. That comes first ahead of any financial performance. So whenever there is a violation of ethical conduct by any employee, it pains us and pains me and all the leaders very deeply, and we take it extremely seriously, and we will deal always with very strong action.
The probe has resulted in crucial suggestions for hiring reforms, along with the sacking of the former head of its resource management group. As per an exchange filing, 19 employees were found involved in the scam. Action has been taken against them. 16 employees have been sacked for code of conduct violations, and 3 employees have been removed from the resource management function. 6 business associate firms are disbarred. 6 vendors, their owners and affiliates have also been debarred from doing any business with the company. Reports also say that E.S. Chakravarti, the former head of TCS Resource Management Group, the division which allocated manpower to various projects, is one of those sacked. He has been accused of misconduct in hiring contract workers by the whistleblowers in February and March and sent on leave in April. According to reports, Chakravarti's wife and his first cousin were directly related to 2 of the biggest companies supplying contract workers to TCS. The relationship was never disclosed to the company.
We have completed our investigation. We have taken action on all the people that were appropriate action, whosoever we believe have violated our code of conduct. The actions differ based on the kind of violation, but all actions have been taken and it's closed.
TCS has also announced measures to enhance its governance protocol. This includes a regular rotation of personnel performing key roles in the resource management function, and enhanced analytics on supplier management, periodic declaration by vendors on compliance with the Tata Code of Conduct, and audits of vendor management process. The resource management group of the TCS, which was at the epicenter of the scam, deploys more than 6 lakh employees across thousands of ongoing projects and also recruits contract workers. The division averages 1 placement every minute. Bureau Report, Business Today Television.
Well, let's slip into a very short break right now. When we return in our exclusive Market Masters series, Vijay Kedia talks about what should be your investment strategy in this volatile market.
You are watching India Today. Powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a BNP Group company.
These Israeli children are still in Hamas captivity in Gaza. More than 10 days later, fate of these kids remains unknown. Shiri, a kindergarten teacher, was seen crying, holding her 2 kids close, 3-year-old Ariel and 9-month-old Kafir, when Hamas extremists surrounded and kidnapped the family. 5-year-old Raz and 3-year-old Aviva Sher were playing in the house when Hamas terrorists took them captive with their mother Doron. From an Israeli house attack, Hamas terrorists released this video sitting in the backyard of a civilian house. One extremist holding an assault rifle in one hand and an injured toddler in another. A crying infant is seen in the stroller surrounded by the Hamas gunmen. Identities of these children are unknown and continue to be in captivity. A group of Israelis projected images of children hostages at the side of the United Nations headquarters in New York, demanding the release of their loved ones with messages of "Bring them home now." Abducting civilians is a crime against humanity, and Hamas is ISIS. Israeli actress Gal Gadot, known for her role in Wonder Woman, is using her social media platform to share images of abducted children and asking the world to raise awareness to bring the hostages back. International law, especially Geneva Convention, clearly states that targeting children is prohibited and condemned in an armed conflict. As the war rages on between Israel and Hamas, the terror attack against civilians has shown that Hamas flouted all norms and continues to keep many children as hostages. Bureau Report, India Today.
Air quality today. In Delhi, 125. In Mumbai, 136. In Kolkata, 125. In Bangalore, 58. In Chennai, 82. In Hyderabad, 92.
Welcome back. You're watching the Business Today show with me, Sakshi Batra. Well, domestic indices kicked off the week on a muted note and closed in the red for a third straight session amidst the weak global cues and a spike in Brent crude prices. There is also a deepening nervousness around the escalating violence in the Middle East as well. Now, remember, the Sensex slipped about 116 points today to settle the day at 66,167, while the Nifty ended flat, just about 19 points lower to settle the day at 19,732. The top Nifty gainers were Hero MotoCorp, JSW Steel, Tata Steel, LTI Mindtree and UPL. On the other hand, we did see that the top Nifty laggards included names such as Divis Laboratories, Nestle, TCS, IndusInd Bank and also Adani Ports. Well, HDFC Bank has also announced a hefty 51% rise in its Q2 net profit. The bank's results, the first after the merger with HDFC, have shown that its profits have ballooned to 160 billion rupees from 106 billion last year. Now, its total income was up a whopping 70% at 784 billion rupees for the quarter ended September. Now, the merger has also led to a slight increase in its bad debts, with the net NPAs rising 5 basis points to 0.35%. Importantly, the bank's cost of credit has also plunged to 0.5% from 0.87% a year ago. Now, provisioning has also fallen about 10% to 29 billion rupees in the latest quarter. Remember, the net interest income was up 30% on a year-on-year basis to 274 billion rupees this time. Well, in our Market Masters series, we also have a very special guest for you, Business Today Television's managing editor Siddharth Zarabi, and I earlier spoke to ace investor Vijay Kedia, who shared his perspective on promising stocks, strategies, insights, and navigating market uncertainties. Watch this exclusive excerpt from our conversation.
How is the rally looking like currently? Is it over for the time being, and is it time for the markets to consolidate, or should we say picture abhi baki hai?
No, because a lot of stocks have already participated, and there is a euphoria in the market in some of the pockets. So I would say that now investors should be a little careful. I'm not selling that you should sell your shares and go, because I'm still fully, as on date, I'm talking to you, I am fully invested in this market. But I personally will be very careful if I have to find a new story or I have to invest in a new company. I would be doubly sure. I would be very skeptical. I would tell you, rather than investing or finding a new company, I would prefer to stay invested in the companies where I am already invested. So for new investors, I would say that it is better don't be adventurous in this market. I'm not saying this market is going to fall down, but you have to be careful.
Okay. Vijay sir, you initially had a target of 70,000 for the Sensex also on the year-end basis before this geopolitical uncertainty really erupted. Would you make changes to that target now? If not by December, how long more will we have to wait for that 70,000 mark on the Sensex, sir?
So that is difficult to say now, because now things have changed a lot in last 3 months. It is not only the Russia and Ukraine, other war is also happening somewhere in the Middle East and all. And market has also become euphoric. So I think, and later on, maybe after December onwards, the fever of this general election will also start, the talk will start happening in the circle that what is going to happen. And before that, in November, there are 3-4 state elections also coming up. So there are a lot of uncertainties in this market. So I personally feel, maybe I may be wrong. I may go wrong also, I don't know. That I personally feel that this rally, the current rally which is continuing in this market, should last maybe till Diwali. And after that, market could be a little lackluster. So coming to your point, 70,000, it is, I don't know. If it happens before Diwali, then it is all right. In case it does not happen before by Diwali or maybe by December, then it might take some time. Then it depends on what is this sentiments about the election is there in the market. It depends on that.
So, since you spoke about a post-Diwali scenario, what strategy should a investor keep in mind? Because you have put together all the 3-4 factors that will impact mood and sentiment. What is the strategy that one should keep in mind?
So I will tell you what strategy I am applying. My strategy is very simple. If I am bullish in a stock for, say, forget about elections. Every year we are having 3-4 elections in India, state elections. General election will also come. So I don't structure my portfolio looking at the elections and looking at the monsoon, looking at inflation figure, looking at interest rate, or looking at this war and all. War is absolutely nobody knows when is going to break out and when it is going to end. That so nobody knows. So I don't structure my portfolio looking at all these things. So that is why as I invest for long term, minimum 5 years. It's not a compulsion, but at least I don't have any target that how long I will be invested in the company for how many years and all. Usually I hold the shares for 10 years. So for me, I have to go through so many elections, so many, ups and downs in the market. So I will stay put. Whatever I have invested until unless if I need some money, that is a different thing. Otherwise, I will stay put. I will face this war. I will face this election. I will face everything. I had been facing all these things, but not necessarily that a new investor can have the same kind of mindset. So it depends on them. That is why I always say that before entering into the market, one should know yourself. So before filing your KYC with the broker, KYS is more important. So one should know yourself. Do you have that kind of mindset to see that kinds of ups and downs in the market? If you don't have that kind of mindset, then you should be careful in the market.
Now you can also watch the full exclusive interview on our YouTube channel Business Today. Well, that's it on the show tonight. Many thanks for tuning in, but do stay tuned on to India Today to catch all the updates from the world of general news.
You are watching India Today, powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a BNP Group company.
निशिकांत दुबे जी कौन होते हैं? यदि कोई जांच एजेंसी कहीं से कुछ पता है, तो तथ्यात्मकता है, तो स्पीकर की इंस्टीट्यूशन को स्वयं उसकी जांच करनी चाहिए. आप उसको राजनीतिक आरोप प्रत्यारोप का मामला बना करके खाली सुर्खियों में रखना चाहते हैं. और आप अपने बहुमत का दुरुपयोग करना चाहते हैं। स्पीकर एक संस्था है अपने आप में, आप उस संस्था का दुरुपयोग करना चाहते हैं। ये लोकतंत्र के अंदर, संसदीय लोकतंत्र के अंदर स्वीकार्य व्यवहार नहीं है।
प्रधानमंत्री जी से लेकर के भारतीय जनता पार्टी के सांसदों तक समूची पार्टी उन महिलाओं से डरती है जो निडर हैं, जो पढ़ी लिखी हैं और जो बेबाक तरीके से अपनी बात रखती हैं या जो देश का गौरव बढ़ाती हैं। चाहे वो खिलाड़ी हों जिन्होंने ब्रजभूषण के ऊपर सवाल उठाए हों, या फिर महुआ मोइत्रा हों जो निडरता से अपनी बात संसद में रखती हैं, या कोई भी जिसकी डिग्री असली हो, उससे भारतीय जनता पार्टी डरती है। तो निशिकांत दुबे जी का ये प्रयास यही डर को दिखाता है, क्योंकि उनकी डिग्रियों का पर्दाफाश हो रहा है, उनके अनेक झूठों का पर्दाफाश हो रहा है। ऐसे में एक डरी हुई पार्टी के डरे हुए सांसद महिलाओं से बदला लेना चाहते हैं।
There is a mass movement that is taking place on both sides of the fence, very organized here in southern Israel, where I can see it. And of course, we are seeing images of what's coming from the Gaza side. While rockets are raining from the Hamas side, even this side, like late last night, when we virtually retired for the day, there was a sudden rocket attack here in Tel Aviv, and fortunately, it was intercepted by the Iron Dome. And now, of course, we are told that even laser systems are being used to, completely decimate incoming rockets. So, over the next several days, an attempt is being made, from what we've been told, by foreign powers. So, the Americans want to evacuate their citizens, the British want to evacuate their citizens, and an effort is being made to evacuate their citizens as quickly as possible before the intensification of these operations take place.
You are watching India Today, powered by Finest. Be Sustainable Change, a BNP Group company.
Hello, you're watching India Today and I'm Aishwarya Paliwal. Let's start the show with the headlines. Israel asks the citizens in the southern areas to evacuate, tells Gaza citizens to leave the north as the countdown begins to a likely ground invasion. United States President Joe Biden likely to visit Israel on Wednesday. Gaza humanitarian crisis worsens with dwindling medical supplies and hospitals slowly turning into morgues. Gaza-Egyptian border set to reopen to allow humanitarian aid. Supreme Court gives a big pro-life verdict, rejects the plea to terminate 26-week-old pregnancy, says the right to life prevails over mother's choice. Big day in Supreme Court tomorrow. Verdict on legalizing same-sex marriage expected. Men accused of killing, cooking and consuming 16 children acquitted. Allahabad High Court acquits key accused Surendra Kohli and Moninder Singh Pandher in the Nithari murder case. Now, the Israel-Palestine war has entered day 10. A ground assault on Gaza appears extremely imminent as Israeli defense forces are now mobilizing tanks and artillery near the Gaza border. The IDF now says the troops have arrested close to 360 wanted Palestinians across the West Bank, including 210 affiliated with Hamas. Now, all this since the war began. In the past too, Israeli forces invaded Gaza twice, once in 2009 and then in 2014. Here's a report.
Devastated by Israeli bombardments, more than 1 million Gazans have fled their homes as an Israeli ground invasion looms. Airstrikes have been unchallenged. In the face of no credible anti-aircraft weapons or air defense systems at Hamas's disposal. Destruction in the besieged Gaza Strip unprecedented. (2,670) Palestinians have been killed and 9,600 wounded since the fighting erupted on October 7th. More than 1,400 Israelis have died, most of them civilians killed in the Hamas attack. Casualties may mount dramatically in the event of Israeli forces launching a ground incursion. Much of Hamas's military infrastructure believed to be concealed in urban areas. A street-by-street fighting can't be ruled out if Israeli military unleashes a full-fledged ground assault. Israel has ordered more than 1 million Palestinians, almost half the territory's population, to move to Gaza's south. Hamas has called upon Palestinian residents to stay put. In the past, Israeli forces invaded Gaza twice. The first time in 2009 for 15 days, and then in 2014 for 19 days. When Israeli ground forces advanced into Gaza's dense cities earlier, they've been effectively targeted with Hamas anti-tank mines, anti-tank guided missiles, rocket-propelled grenades. Hamas now equipped with a newer weapon, grenade-wielding drones it used in the October 7 attack, and possible stockpiles of anti-tank weaponry. International urban warfare experts also caution against Hamas's ancient tactic of using tunnel bombs. Blasting its way through the 40-kilometer Gaza Strip may sound easier than done. The Israeli military would be going up against a group that has trained for years in hardened urban combat and possibly war-gamed such an invasion for years, despite Israel's own human intelligence and technology. With Gaurav Sawant and Ashutosh Mishra in Israel, Bureau Report, India Today.
Now, the countdown has begun to the invasion of Gaza. In fact, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has declared that he will not rest till Hamas is completely demolished. On the ground, Gaza citizens have been asked to evacuate and the areas of South Israel too have been cleared out. Gaurav Sawant and Ashutosh Mishra have been reporting from the war zone. They filed this story.
"10 days on, the Israel-Hamas war has entered its most decisive phase. Countdown has begun to the invasion of Gaza.
Throughout the last 10 days, the IDF has conducted hundreds of strikes against Hamas operatives, the leadership, its institutions, and its terrorist infrastructure.
Tanks and troops have been mobilized and parts of southern Israel have also been evacuated.
We just look around, a very picturesque beach on the Mediterranean Sea. Usually you'd have thousands of people here, but not a soul in sight. In fact, the police and the army now deployed here, and the army is asking even the Aaj Tak and India Today team asking me to leave from here because it's not safe to be here at the Zikkim beach for the simple reason the area remains extremely vulnerable.
Despite an all-out Israeli offensive, Hamas rocket fire continues.
We are running away to safety because the rocket alert has been sounded.
Watch around. Be careful. A few. Oops. So, we were here to do an interview, but suddenly there's a rocket alert and we have come to safety.
Remains of Hamas terror still there to see.
India today is at ground zero in southern Israel's Sderot town, and perhaps the last stretch of the town where you have the open terrain connecting to Gaza before you proceed for Be'eri kibbutz. All these areas are now heavily guarded by the armed forces of Israel, and it is also open for the world media to see the kind of terror unleashed by the terrorists of Hamas group.
The Israeli Defense Force says it has arrested nearly 400 wanted Palestinians, 210 of them affiliated with Hamas.
This is the breaching device. It's modular. You can customize it. You can use only one of these.
This huge cache of arms, including assault weapons, bullets and magazines, seized from the terrorists. Israel has vowed that it won't rest till Hamas is completely decimated. With Gaurav Sawant and Ashutosh Mishra in southern Israel, Bureau Report, India Today.
And India Today's Rahul Kanwal spoke with Eylon Levy, the spokesperson for the Israeli Prime Minister office. Listen in to what he had to say.
I want to go across live and exclusive at this time to Tel Aviv, where we are joined by Eylon Levy, spokesperson in the office of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel. Mr. Levy, thank you very much for joining us on India Today. I want to start by getting you to give our viewers a sense of how you see this war 10 days on from Israel's perspective. How do you think this offensive is shaping up so far?
Israel is a country that is still trying to identify the human remains left behind by the October 7th massacre, a brutal ISIS-style terror attack with a death toll of 1,300 people and rising, nearly 4,000 people injured, 199 Israelis in captivity, hostages inside the Gaza Strip. Many of the remains burned beyond recognition by the Hamas death squads that entered Israel last Saturday and beheaded, butchered, burned, shot everyone they saw. Now, Israel has been very clear about what its goals are for the next stage of the operation. This isn't another round of fighting in which Israel is going to degrade Hamas or deter the Hamas terror organization. This is a war that Israel was forced into, a war we didn't want, a war we didn't expect, but a war that we're going to win, and a war that we are going to win by destroying Hamas, so that this terrorist organization, after its ISIS-like atrocities that we saw just 10 days ago, can never, ever cause any harm to Israeli civilians and citizens ever again.
There are many who would say that Hamas is very difficult to destroy. You can destroy the top leadership of the Hamas, but because the Hamas is an ideology, till the time there is some form of settlement, some form of peace solution, the Hamas, or whatever it is that it is at that time known by, the idea of the Hamas will keep cropping up. So how do you respond to those who think that you're going in, that an urban war in the Gaza Strip could be very expensive for Israel as well, apart from the impact on the people of the Gaza Strip, and this is a war that Israel will find very difficult to win in the way that you're defining victory?
I think we're having some technical difficulties because your voice is a little bit crackly, so perhaps your technical team can try to fix that. But I think if I understood the question, look, the situation in the Gaza Strip is this. Israel intends to go after the totality of Hamas's military and governing machine inside the Gaza Strip so that it can never again harm Israelis. Now, the problem is that Hamas has embedded its military facilities, its terrorist sites, its command centers, its operation centers, its rocket launchers inside civilian areas, underneath people's homes, underneath schools, underneath hospitals, in order to use those people as human shields. Now, those are legitimate military targets. They were used to perpetrate the atrocity that we saw 10 days ago, and Israel is going to destroy them. Now, in order to target Hamas's terrorist infrastructure, because we don't want to see any people hurt, as a democratic country, we don't want to see any civilian casualties, Israel is asking civilians to temporarily evacuate the areas that are going to see very heavy fighting for their own safety until the fighting is over. That's what we expect the international community to do and support, and that is in fact their obligation under international humanitarian law to facilitate the evacuation of civilians to places of greater safety away from the areas of combat. Unfortunately, what we're seeing on the ground is Hamas, first of all, stopping civilians from fleeing. There have been roadblocks erected by Hamas terrorists on the main roads in the Gaza Strip so that civilians trying to flee the combat areas can't get out. We also have reports of Hamas stealing people's car keys so they can't escape. And news came out just in the last few hours that UNRWA, the UN Palestinian refugee agency inside the Gaza Strip, said that Hamas people had in fact stolen fuel and medicine from inside its own warehouses for its military purposes. A tweet, by the way, that UNRWA, the UN agency, deleted afterwards, apparently under pressure, of course, raising extreme questions here about its sincerity and its credibility, and another, just more evidence showing about how Hamas abuses civilians inside the Gaza Strip, often with the complicity of international organizations.
Now, American President Joe Biden comes to Tel Aviv likely Wednesday. We also know that today your boss, the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, spoke to Vladimir Putin, the Russian president, for the first time. Could you give us a sense of your expectation from the American president's visit and how that call with the Russian president went?
Israel expects the full support of the international community for this war, a war, again, we didn't want, a war we were forced into, but this war to destroy Hamas. And we're heartened that so many international leaders have understood what a shocking atrocity this was on the 7th of October. 1,300 people murdered. We're a country of 10 million people. There isn't a single family in Israel who doesn't know someone who was abducted or murdered or is still missing. And so many world leaders, including from India, and we're very grateful for India's support, have said that Israel has not only a right, but a duty to defend itself. President Biden has been very clear about that. He's said that if such an attack happened to the United States, he would expect its own response to be swift, overwhelming, and decisive. And that is exactly what Israel is going to do. We're going to act just like the international community. Hamas is ISIS. Hamas is worse than ISIS. And we're going to destroy Hamas just like the enlightened world destroyed ISIS, by using the exact same techniques, by going after Hamas with the exact same force that the international community used against the brutal terrorists of ISIS. And we expect the international community to stand by our side as we enter what is going to be a very difficult stage now, but a necessary stage, because we as the State of Israel have no other option in order to repel what was, I'll remind you, a crime against humanity. Members of 42 nations were either murdered, abducted, or injured in this attack. It was a crime against humanity, a crime against the whole humankind. And Israel is standing now on the front lines of humanity against the same barbaristic terrorism that we saw from groups like ISIS. And that's the evil that we're determined to uproot. And we expect the world to support us in that end.
Is Israel concerned about this conflict expanding and becoming a three-way fight against Israel? Are you anticipating that the Hezbollah operating in southern Lebanon is likely to get involved on the side of the Hamas, especially as you go into Gaza? How are you reading the developments in Syria? Is Prime Minister Netanyahu concerned about this becoming a three-frontal attack?
It's very important, first of all, that you're covering this from a global and regional perspective. This is a conflict not only against the brutal terrorists of Hamas in the Gaza Strip. Israel has also come under attack from Hezbollah, Hamas's twin sister, also sponsored by the Iranian regime up in the north. And Israel has been very clear. We do not want war with Hezbollah, just as we did not want war with Hamas. But if Hezbollah, the Iranian proxy terror organization, drags us into a full-scale war, we will win that war. Israel doesn't want to have to fight on two fronts, but if we're forced to do that, we will fight on both fronts, and we will win. And in that context, we're very heartened that the international community is also standing by Israel, the United States sending 2 aircraft carrier to the eastern Mediterranean in order to send a very clear message to Hezbollah and to Iran. As President Biden said in his very moving words of support for Israel just last week, for anyone thinking of messing or testing with the state of Israel, our message is one word: don't.
Iran's foreign ministry has put out a statement saying that if the 200 hostages who are being held in the Gaza Strip are released, then the airstrikes on the Gaza Strip should stop, asking the Israel Defense Forces, stop your airstrikes, and that Hamas, which has 200 hostages, is willing to release those hostages if the airstrikes and the attack on the Gaza Strip stops.
The situation with the hostages inside the Gaza Strip, we are talking about 199 men, women, children who were abducted by Hamas and Islamic Jihad, cruelly stripped away from their beds, tortured, abducted, taken into the Gaza Strip. We're talking about babies, some just a few months old. We're talking about elderly people, grandparents without their medication. We don't know whether they're being fed. We don't know whether, well, we assume they're not being given basic humanitarian mercy because we saw the brutality with which the ISIS-style Hamas regime cuffed children, burned them alive inside Israel. And Israel's message is very clear. We demand the immediate and unconditional return of our hostages. No ifs, no buts. There is no excuse for invading a village with thermobaric weapons, stripping babies away from their bed, and abducting them into some godforsaken tunnel inside the Gaza Strip. Their place is back here in the loving embrace of their families. And we demand their immediate and unconditional return. And we're very grateful for every voice we have in the international community as well, sending the message, reminding the world that there are nearly 200 Israelis inside in captivity in the Gaza Strip, that this is unacceptable, that it's a war crime, that it's a crime against humanity. We appreciate that support and we want them back.
Ilan Levy, for joining us from Tel Aviv, thank you very much. That's the spokesperson of Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu speaking to India today.
A massive humanitarian crisis is unfolding in Gaza as we speak. Now, most of the United Nations shelters have run out of water. There is no electricity. The internet has shut down. Medical supplies are running extremely low, and hospitals are now turning into morgues.
With every passing day, life in Gaza is becoming tougher and tougher. Finding clean drinking water in the Gaza Strip is a challenge. People are forced to stand in long lines for hours, as Israel has stopped water supply to more than 2.3 million Gazans. People are forced to drink salt water to survive.
Now we are filling in salt water. I'm ready to drink this water. What else can we do? We are forced to do this.
Muhammad has been volunteering to fill in canisters with salt water from a public tap and deliver them on a rickshaw to families.
Because of the large number of people inside the camp, there is no water. So I thought I would volunteer, come with a rickshaw and carry the water from the faraway areas, the dangerous areas, where there are agricultural lands and it's near the occupation in front of the empty lands.
Supply of food, medicine and power are also hit. Health officials in the Gaza Strip are storing the bodies of Palestinians killed in Israeli airstrikes in ice cream freezer trucks.
Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital in Deir al-Balah is suffering from a severe lack of equipment. The hospital morgue can only take 10 bodies. So we have brought in ice cream freezers from the ice cream factories in order to store the huge number of martyrs coming in daily. Even with these freezers, the number exceeds the capacity of this main morgue of the hospital and alternative ones. And between 20 and 30 bodies are being kept in tents too.
The hospital, this hospital itself will possibly break down with the situation getting dire in terms of the needs and essential supplies needed by the hospital. This is a part of an integral part of how is the image in Gaza for the time being, especially for Gaza's hospitals.
Over 4 lakh Gazans have left their homes to move towards the south as Israel prepares for a possible ground invasion. these civilians are paying the price of a war they did not start. With Rami Al-Meghari in Gaza Strip, Bureau Report, India Today.
It's time now for us to take a very quick break. More news coming up on the other side.
You are watching India Today, powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a BNP Group company. You are watching India Today, powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a BNP Group company. Get ready for an immersive journey into the heart of news, politics, and insights that matter. Join India Today now on WhatsApp. Scan the QR code. You are watching India Today, powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a BNP Group company.
The Allahabad High Court on Monday acquitted key accused Surinder Kohli and his co-accused Moninder Singh Pandher in many of the cases linked with the infamous Nithari murders. A bench of Justice Ashwini Kumar Mishra and Justice Syed Aftab Hussain Rizvi in fact found Surinder Kohli innocent in a series of 12 cases. Now these were the cases for which he had previously been awarded death penalty. In fact, the bench also found Moninder Pandher innocent in 2 cases. Now these were the cases in which earlier he had received the death sentence. Watch this story.
Rape, cannibalism and murder. Surinder Kohli and Moninder Singh Pandher were facing death penalty for such heinous crimes. 17 years after the horrific Nithari serial killings, the Allahabad High Court on Monday acquitted the prime accused in the case, Pandher and his servant Kohli, in several of the cases due to lack of evidence. The High Court found Kohli innocent in 12 cases, while co-accused Pandher was found innocent in 2 cases.
मोनिंदर सिंह पंडेर के खिलाफ आज जो जजमेंट पे लगे थे वो 2 मुकदमे थे, बाकी 4 मुकदमे में वो ऑलरेडी बरी हो चुके हैं। इन 2 में सेशंस कोर्ट ने उन्हें फांसी की सजा सुनाई थी, जिसको आज ऑनरेबल हाई कोर्ट ऑफ इलाहाबाद ने बरी किया है और जजमेंट को रिवर्स किया है। तो पंडेर साहब अब आजाद हैं।
The serial killings in Noida's Nithari involved abduction, sexual abuse and brutal murder of children and young women. Kohli was the domestic help at Pandher's residence where these crimes took place. It was alleged that Kohli would lure children to the house by offering them sweets. He allegedly killed and dismembered them before cooking the body parts and eating them. Kohli allegedly dumped bones and other body parts into a drain near the house.
इसी D5 खूनी कोठी में एक के बाद एक आरोप ये है कि मासूम बच्चियों को किडनैप किया जाता था, उनकी हत्या की जाती थी और उन कईयों के साथ बलात्कार भी किया गया था। तकरीबन 16 ऐसे मामले जो लापता बच्चियों के थे, उनमें नोएडा पुलिस ने मामला दर्ज किया था, जो बाद में केस सीबीआई के पास गया था। लेकिन आज हाई कोर्ट ने फांसी की सजा को खारिज किया और सुरिंदर कोहली और मुनिंदर सिंह पंधेर को बाकायदा बाइज्जत बरी कर दिया। उसके बाद से ही जो विक्टिम्स थे उनके परिवार में काफी ज्यादा गुस्सा है।
Family members of the victims are anguished by the High Court verdict.
दोनों को फांसी जरूर दी जाए। ये दोनों बहुत दरिंदे बहुत हैं। योगी सरकार से, मोदी सरकार से मेरी यही प्रार्थना है कि इनको फांसी दी जाए। अगर फांसी नहीं इनको मिली तो ऐसे कानून तो कोई मानेगा नहीं।
While Kohli and Pandher are acquitted in these cases, they won't walk out of prison as appeals on convictions in other cases are yet to be decided. With Arvind Ojha in Noida, Bureau Report, India Today.
And with that, it's a wrap on this bulletin. Thank you for watching India Today. This is me, Aishwarya Paliwal, signing off.
You are watching India Today, powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a B&P Group company. You are watching India Today, powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a B&P Group company.
The battleground is heating up and our warriors are in top form. With the World Cup in sight, India is ready as we build up to India's best coverage. Join us to cheer for the men in blue. India Mange Ek Aur World Cup, the battle of champions.
So sorry.
चुनाव में बदल गई है खूब जिंदगी, छाँव है कभी कभी है धूप जिंदगी, सब मिलके अब इलेक्शन लड़ो, मामा का क्या कल हो न हो, कमल पे कमल छा जाए, दिल क्यों अभी से घबराए, 18 बरस तक मैंने संभाला, फिर से मौका मिल जाए, इस बार तो बदलाव हो, मामा का क्या कल हो न हो।
Hello and welcome. You're watching In the Club. I'm Dipali Patel. I'm back with the best from the world of entertainment. Let's begin the show and the week on a high note as Salman Khan is returning to the big screen as Raw Agent Tiger for the third time. The makers have released the trailer and the film is all set to arrive in theatres this Diwali. Here's everything you need to know about this part of the Spyverse offered by Yash Raj Films. Officially been introduced as Shakti Shetty in Rohit Shetty's Copverse. Deepika's character will be introduced in Singham Again, which will also feature Ajay Devgan, Akshay Kumar and Ranveer Singh. Take a look.
Indian cinema's Lady Singham is finally here. Deepika Padukone has officially been introduced as Shakti Shetty in Rohit Shetty's Copverse. She looks feisty with gun in her hand and blood on her forehead. And this announcement sent the internet into a meltdown as fans had been waiting for it for so long. Deepika's character will be introduced in Singham Again, which will also feature Ajay Devgan, Akshay Kumar and Ranveer Singh. This comes after filmmaker Rohit Shetty had announced that his Copverse will be expanding during an event.
सबको पता है अगली फिल्म कौन सी है, कॉप यूनिवर्स की सिंघम है और हर बार एक ही सवाल पूछा जाता है मुझसे कि लेडी सिंघम कब आएगी, लेडी सिंघम कब आएगी, तो सिंघम अगेन में लेडी सिंघम आएगी.
Meanwhile, Deepika isn't the only female cop introduced in Rohit Shetty's hit universe. In fact, Shilpa Shetty too is gearing up for her fierce entry with Indian Police Force, co-starring Siddharth Malhotra. The first look of Shilpa as a lady cop garnered her much appreciation. Hence, looks like after Singham, Simba and Suryavanshi, these two lady cops are all set to take over the Copverse like no other. Entertainment Bureau, India Today.
From Chulbul Pandey to Suryavanshi, Hindi cinema has seen several actors in Cop Avatar, but the tables have now turned and Bollywood divas are leading this universe with similar panache. Here's the complete story. Bollywood not only has Chulbul Pandey,
स्वागत तो करो हमारा.
but now it also has Singham, a Simba and a Suryavanshi too.
जिस गोली से तू मरेगा उसके ऊपर ऐसा बड़े में लिखा होगा Made in India.
The cop universe, however, certainly is incomplete without these women who don the khaki for the big screen and undeniably manage to turn heads with their iconic roles.
कस्तूरी डोगरा, SHO.
अंगद मलिक, आपकी जगह आया.
चार्ज दिया नहीं है मैंने अभी तक.
Raveena Tandon won hearts with her digital debut as Kasturi Dogra, the SHO of a small town in Himachal Pradesh in series Aranyak.
देखते हैं. पूरी जिंदगी को साइड में रखा एक बड़े केस के लिए. और ये बड़ा केस आता भी है कब? जब मैं उस कुर्सी से उठ जाती हूँ.
She investigates the case of a missing child and a boy who disappeared amid mysterious circumstances.
बच्ची को होटल से निकलते देखा नहीं. आंखें इस्तेमाल नहीं करनी तो डोनेशन कर दे किसी अंधे को.
Shefali Shah's stellar performance as DCP Vartika Chaturvedi, a no-nonsense boss leading a squad of men in 2019's powerful web series Delhi Crime, is unforgettable.
जी मैडम. This crime is not just heinous. It's insanity.
In fact, she even won the Asian Academy Creative Awards for the series in the category of Best Actress in a Leading Role.
बस पर 6 लोगों ने पर हमला किया। सखी के साथ जो हुआ है मैंने पहले कभी नहीं देखा।
With hard-hitting dialogues,
assault a criminal force to deter public servant from discharge of duty. और किसी को लॉ सीखना है?
Action scenes and chase sequences. Rani Mukherjee as fearless cop Shivani Shivaji Rao proved her brilliance as an actress not once but twice.
कोटा की पूरी पुलिस फोर्स रात भर काम करेगी। कोई ब्रेक नहीं लेगा, सोएगा नहीं।
In 2014's Mardani, she sets out to confront the mastermind behind a child trafficking mafia.
मैं अपने धंधे में इतना रिस्क लेता ही नहीं हूँ।
देख मैं अंडर 19 टीम के 12th मैन प्यारी को तेरे घर से लेके जाऊंगी, पर आऊंगी जरूर।
While in 2019's Mardani 2, she vows to catch and bring a psychopath working for a politician to justice.
मैं आपके लिए आया।
आज शाम से पहले एक और लोंडिया उठा रहा हूँ। 2 दिन बाद वो भी किसी नाले में बहती मिलेगी। दमाए तो रोक ले जा।
मैं टीचर हूँ या शार्प शूटर, इस बात का पता तुझे अभी लग जाएगा। बहुत शाने बनते हो, हाँ? लेकिन मेरा नाम भी किरण पाटकर है, पाटकर, एनकाउंटर स्पेशलिस्ट।
After playing Inspector Kiran Patkar in the 1999 film Gaurav, Tabu returned as Inspector General Meera Deshmukh in 2015 in suspense drama Drishyam, only to blow her fans' minds with her effortless acting chops.
मेरा बेटा कहाँ है?
मुझे नहीं पता।
मैंने उसे गंवार समझकर बहुत अंडरएस्टिमेट किया।
Similarly, Priyanka Chopra stole the show as a tough cop Abha Mathur in Jai Ganga Jal.
मैं इस जिले की पहली महिला एसपी हूँ और एक बात आप सब याद रखिए, मैं यहाँ टेबल कुर्सी पर बैठकर सलामी ठुकवाने नहीं आई।
In this 2015 Prakash Jha directorial, which she claimed was the quickest film she had ever shot, Priyanka was seen fighting for justice in a corrupt, male-dominated city.
हम सब ठीक करते हैं मैडम सर।
कीचड़ को धोने के लिए साफ पानी की जरूरत होती है रियान सिंह, गंदे पानी की नहीं।
Yesteryear actresses such as Rekha in Phool Bane Angare, Dimple Kapadia in Zakhmi Aurat, and Hema Malini in Andha Kanun also donned khaki in the past, giving fans a spectacular on-screen experience.
उस कैदी की तलाश कर रही हूँ मिस्टर रंजीत कुमार, जो बिना किसी जुर्म किए तुम्हारे इस घर के कैद खाने में कैद है।
अच्छा, ऐसा कौन सा बेगुनाह कैदी है जो मेरे घर में कैद है?
तुम्हारी पत्नी।
ओह अच्छा अच्छा, तो उस वजह से आप पुरानी दास्तान सुनकर आ रही हैं, हाँ?
मैं किसी से कुछ सुनकर नहीं आई हूँ, बल्कि अपना फर्ज निभाने आई हूँ।
So yes, times have indeed changed from when Hindi cinema was blowing up with masala male cop franchises and when a female cop-led story was virtually unimaginable, let alone a sequel to one. Entertainment Bureau, India Today.
चल रहे।
It's time for a very short break now, but there's lots more coming up on the other side, so stay tuned to In the Club and India Today.
You are watching India Today, powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a B&P Group company.
As we are getting out of the emergency and admission department of Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital, and based on what we have heard from the doctors here at the department, maybe in the upcoming hours as we are getting out of the hospital, this hospital itself will possibly break down, with the situation getting dire in terms of the needs and essential supplies. needed by the hospital. This is a part of an integral part of how is the image in Gaza for the time being, especially for Gaza's hospitals. As you know, Gaza, the Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital, is one of the largest and major hospitals, key hospitals in the Gaza Strip, run by the Gaza government. For India Today, Rami Al-Mighari, Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital in middle Gaza Strip.
Sorry.
चुनाव में बदल गई है खूब जिंदगी, छाँव है कभी कभी है धूप जिंदगी, सब मिलके अब इलेक्शन लड़ो, मामा का क्या कल हो न हो, कमल पे कमल छा जाए, दिल क्यों अभी से घबराए, 18 बरस तक मैंने संभाला, फिर से मौका मिल जाए, इस बार तो बदलाव हो, मामा का क्या कल हो न हो।
Now, the 5-day-long Lakme Fashion Week in partnership with FDCI was concluded on October 15th with grand showcases at Pragati Maidan in the national capital. Rajkumar Rao was one of the actors to walk the ramp as a showstopper on the last day, and I caught up with him before his runway appearance. Take a look at this candid chat. I have with me Raj, who is all set to walk the ramp of Lakme Fashion Week on the last day. Welcome to India Today Television and to Delhi.
Oh, thank you so much. Such an honor always.
Raj, you're walking for Park Avenue today. Talk to me about something that you're wearing.
Well, it's their new clothing line. They're getting into casuals, and look at this. It's so comfortable. It looks so cool, so sharp. So I think this is something which I can just wear whole day. No matter if it's for a party, if it's for my meetings, I can wear it anywhere, anytime.
Who's your all-time favorite fashion icon?
Oh, I used to actually love 40s, 50s fashion. You know, if you see old pictures of Dilip Saab and Sanjeev sir, and even in West, you see James Dean and Brando, the kind of cool jackets and t-shirt they would wear. It was really cool. Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to ask you some few questions, quick questions. One thing you would like to steal from the following personalities' wardrobe?
Oh, steal.
Ranveer Singh.
His accessories, like his studs, his whatever he wears, I think everything, he carries it really well. Yeah.
Abhishek Bachchan.
I have a feeling he's got a great collection of shoes. Yeah.
Vijay Verma.
Vijay is my friend. He's my classmate. So yeah, I don't have to steal anything. Yeah.
Salman Khan.
Salman sir's denims, I think. Yeah, he carries them really well.
Your favorite and my favorite and everyone's favorite, SRK.
I would like to ask him, where is that red jacket from Chaiya Chaiya kept? So I would love to have that here with me.
All right. Thank you so much for talking to us and all the best for your ramp walk.
Thanks a lot. Thank you so much.
I have with me Shantanu Maheshwari, who's all set to walk down on the last day of Lakme Fashion Week. Welcome to Delhi. How are you? I'm meeting you after Tooth Buddy.
Yes, I'm fine. Thank you, and hope you are doing amazing. You are doing amazing. I don't even have to ask you. So yeah.
Talk to me about what you're wearing today and what are you going to do on the stage?
Walk on stage.
No, if we are going to see you dance.
I don't think they would want me to dance right.
People are breaking into dance like.
I saw a few of them. Yes. But I don't know if I. Totally depends on the music and the crowd. So yeah, hopefully, if the crowd is good, the vibe is good, why not dance it out? But yeah, what I'm wearing Park Avenue's collection, casual, city casual collection, and it's pretty much Zenzi Yo type of a feel to it because I think everyone is bored with formals, and yeah, so we are just trying to make it like a super comfy, casual at the same time, so-called formal look. So yeah, I mean, I'm happy with this whole, the way, the material and the look and feel. Yeah.
Shantanu,
it's like super flexible. I mean, I can really dance in these. So that's what I was discussing with them. You all should make more of these so that we can wear and just perform anywhere where we want to. So yeah.
You're saying that you're going to dance maybe in this.
I might.
All right. Who's your all-time favorite fashion icon?
All-time favorite fashion icon. All time, if you say, then I would have to go with. My choice is a bit odd, Javed Jafri. Yeah, I don't know. Somehow I like his style. Jackie Dada, Bidu. So yeah, I mean, I think his pouches are something. Pouches and belts.
You can't miss that.
I mean, yeah, that's something that I think only he can carry. But those belts and pouches, I think that they are amazing. So.
Okay, if you had to steal one thing from the following personalities' wardrobe, what would that be?
I hope I know what kind of wardrobe they will have. So yeah.
Ranveer Singh.
Ranveer Singh. I think shoes.
Abhishek Bachchan.
What will I sell? Nothing will fit me because of his height. I would say maybe watches. Dimag.
Yes. Salman Khan.
I think belts, jackets and belts.
All-time favorite, everyone's favorite, my favorite, I'm sure your favorite too, Shah Rukh Khan.
Oh my God, Shah Rukh Khan, what can you? There's so much to take from him. I will take his charm.
His wardrobe will take his charm?
Yeah.
That's a good answer. Who's your all-time favorite choreographer?
All-time favorite, Saroj Khan. There's so many. Saroj Khan, Ganesh Hegde. So right now, I mean, I will say 2. Yeah.
After Tooth Parade, now what's next for Shantanu?
Amazon mini show. It's already out. Campus Beach. If you all have not seen it, so yeah, better watch it. And season 2 is gonna come soon. Apart from that, I have a movie lined up. Auro Mein Kahan Dam Tha with Neeraj Pandey sir. And I'm doing a Bengali film with the same director of Tooth Pari, Pratyam Das Gupta. It's called Chal Chitro. So that is also something I'm very excited about. Yeah.
Looking forward to seeing you in our studio once again.
Yes, and with less distance though.
All the best for your ramp walk.
Thank you so much.
Hope you shine and rock and we get to see some moves.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Shantanu.
The final day of Lakme Fashion Week in partnership with FTCI was a glamorous affair. The who's who from the industry, including Rajkumar Rao, Ananya Pandey, Lisa Hayden, Diana Penty, walked the ramp throughout the day, and even Bipasha Basu, who made a stunning comeback to the ramp post-pregnancy. Take a look at this report by my colleague, Riya Modi. The Delhi edition of the Lakme Fashion Week in partnership with FTCI was high on fashion, style and star quotient. The 5-day affair came to an end with a finale show by designer Bibhu Mohapatra, and his showcase was a celebration of style and creativity. Ananya Pandey walked the ramp in an oversized digital print coat, pairing it with black shorts and a top, and looked absolutely stunning. What caught everyone by surprise was when the queen of ramps, Bipasha Basu, made a comeback after embracing motherhood. In a fiery red gown, the actress set the ramp ablaze. Simon Singh, Lisa Hayden, Vipasha Agarwal also walked the ramp for the designer. The final day was a star-studded affair as Rajkumar Rao owned the ramp as the showstopper for Park Avenue. The actor was dressed in a blue premium casual ensemble, specially selected by his wife and actor Patrulekha.
They were all brilliant, so I was really confused. But then I thought, I always take suggestions from Patrulekha. So I sent her a couple of pictures and she said, I really like this one. So here we are.
Shantanu Maheshwari spread his charm across the runway as he opened the show for the brand wearing a printed pantsuit. Designer Pawan Sachdeva dressed former Indian cricketer Harbhajan Singh in a long black overcoat, who looked at ease on the runway. Bambai Meri Jaan star Kritika Kamra was also seen gracing the ramp for the designer in an off-white long coat, crop top and trousers. With the wedding season just around the corner, Paulomi and Harsh unveiled their bridal collection. Their muse Tina Penties laid the runway as she walked in an ornate lehenga. Looking totally relaxed and perky on the ramp was actor Kriti Kharbanda, who turned showstopper for the sober sassy collection from Tattvam by Abhishek and Benita in a silver outfit. Sobita Dhulipala walked the ramp in a white lehenga along with one-shouldered backless blouse, which left the audience awestruck. The Kerala Story famed actress Ada Sharma marked the first day of Pujo as she struck a pose like Goddess Durga, wearing a yellow silk mekhela chadur and red alta on her hands and feet for designer Sanjukta Datta. The students at the Pearl Academy, in association with FDCI, transported the audience into a lunar world to celebrate the success of Chandrayaan 3. The show saw a lunar rover setting the stage for cosmic journey and had a futuristic take. Meanwhile, an audience member made headlines by rushing to the ramp with a Save Gaza poster. With Riya Modi, Lifestyle Bureau, India Today. Well, that's all we could pack in our show today, but keep watching In the Club from Monday to Friday at 2:30 p.m. and 11:30 p.m. only on India Today to get your daily dose of entertainment. This is me, the Pari Patel, signing off for today. Till next time, thanks for watching and goodbye.